Hey guys, how's it going? This is Scott from phasingplayer.com. I hope everyone's had a good week. It's Friday afternoon. Not that days of the week matter to a lot of people right now, mostly myself included. Just kind of like everyone going day to day. The biggest differentiator right now for me, like how one week or one day is different from another, is my wife works from home every other week. She works for a university here in Chicago for Northwestern as an aquatics supervisor. And so this week she is in the lab supervising people, and then next week she'll be working from home, phone calls, emails, that sort of thing. And so weeks when she's home, it's a little different versus weeks when she's gone, which has actually sort of led to my phasing player schedule, trying to adjust to that. When she's home, it's a little harder for me to do like live stuff. We live in a relatively small apartment, and so I do everything kind of in our living room. So when she's home, she's working, right over here, and it's a little harder for me to do stuff when she's around. Both I distract her, and her presence also kind of distracts me. If she needs to, go to the bathroom or go into the kitchen or, type on her computer, it's harder for me to get good stuff when she's around. And so I'm trying to build up my schedule with Phasing Player a little bit, where I'm going to try to do more stuff on weeks when she's gone and then post some of that stuff on weeks when she's here. And so I'm still trying to figure that out, sort of. So in the next couple of weeks, we'll probably figure that out. Matthew, the beasts in the background are my cats, Oliver and Lucy. They honestly somehow make it into almost every stream, whether or not they're behind me or jumping up on the table. I usually let them walk around when I'm playing a game. Maybe I shouldn't, but if they jump up on a table while I'm playing a game, I usually let them stomp around, as long as they're not messing with stuff. If you look at my BIOS Megafauna video, Oliver stomps around the table a little bit, and he's pretty good about it for the most part. The biggest thing they do whenever I am kind of speaking a little more loudly, talking, to a camera like I am right now, they get a little rambunctious. They get excited. They wrestle around more than usual. And so I started doing this with my Roads and Boats video, but I've got a squirt bottle nearby. If they tend to want to get some attention when I am giving attention to something. And so if you see me pause or hear what sounds like a squirt bottle, it's probably me squirting Oliver so he's not, jumping on Lucy underneath the table or something. They get along super well. They like to wrestle, they like to chase each other, and they get super more into that when I am doing something like this. Anyway, hope everyone's good. We are going to be doing something a little bit different today than usual. Normally, for the most part, not entirely, but normally, I do more sort of high strategy, low randomness, maybe Euro-y titles, stuff from Splatter or, even Sierra Madre has there's a lot of randomness to it, but they sort of have a serious tone. They're set in kind of that world, I think. But today we're doing something that is super Ameritrashy, super high amount of randomness, and not typically what would be in my wheelhouse, at all. Dungeon Degenerates, Hand of Doom is the game, and it is a co-op game, which usually I don't like co-op games. It is a fantasy setting, and I don't really like fantasy settings. Sorry, Lord of the Rings fans, I'm not really into fantasy or Lord of the Rings. And it is about getting loot, killing monsters for experience, and following sort of a story in a booklet of story missions. And that's not usually my thing. I do like RPGs on occasion. One of my favorite games of all time. In fact, if I was pressed, I would probably say my favorite video game ever made is Earthbound for the Super Nintendo. I love Earthbound. I've played it 100 times. I listen to music from it and remixes from it all the time. I also like Suikoden on the PlayStation. That's another really fun JRPG that I like. But for the most part, these days, I'm not that into RPGs. Definitely not in board games. Stuff like Gloomhaven or Imperial Assault that has sort of a leveling up mechanic to it. Those aren't really things that catch my attention. For some reason, I decided I should spend the most money I've ever spent on a single board game purchase on a game that is a co-op fantasy setting RPG. I don't know why exactly. You know, sometimes inspiration just strikes. Inspiration hits you, and you say, "I should get this. This is getting my attention." And I let it. In my defense, I let it sit. I read about Dungeon Degenerates. I got into it. You know, kind of figured out what it was like, and then I let it sit for like a month or two before I pulled the trigger and before I spent any money. And I saw a lot come up for sale, and I picked it up. I bought the lot, and it was a little over $300 after shipping, and it came with the game, expansions. It came with a bunch of pewter miniatures. I also don't like miniatures for the most part. I paint minis. I think painting is a lot of fun. Painting miniatures are a lot of fun, but games that feature minis are not really my thing. So this game basically crossed off like everything that I would like in a game doesn't have. Everything that I don't like in a game has, and so of course I bought it. And it was largely the art, I think, that drew me in, but I am happy I got it. In a time where I'm quarantined in my house, me and my wife, we don't have any co-op games in the house, and so we like kind of the idea of playing a game together at this time sounded like a lot of fun, especially something that was, you know, sort of a campaign that we would play over time instead of just competitive stuff. And so I got my Yang Bucks, I pulled the trigger and bought Dungeon Degenerates. So why don't we flip down to the map just so everyone kind of gets an idea of what it looks like if you haven't seen it before. I did mention it in a vlog, and you know, maybe you've seen it on Board Game Geek. But yeah, why don't we kind of like take a look at the game and get into it? Let me lean over here and fade on out. So here is the Worst Strike, which is the world that you play this game in. It is obviously super, super colorful, and it is sort of has a lot of info on it. The game sets up a little differently for each mission you're doing. We are doing the first mission because we're starting a campaign here. The first mission is on the run. Also, I should mention right now, I am, it's nice. It's a nice summer day, almost spring, I guess, but it feels like a summer day. It's like 65, 70 degrees here. I have some windows open behind me, and an airplane is flying over right now, going to land at O'Hare. So if it's a little noisy, I apologize, but hey, the weather's nice. I want my windows open. My cats are enjoying it. So if you hear children in airplanes, that's what that is. Anyway, Dungeon Degenerates sets up differently for each mission you play. We are playing the first one on the run, which is where every campaign starts. You put down some of these tokens in different spots, noting certain things that the mission requires. And the most common thing I think you usually put down are these clues, which are these kind of larger pink markers. The clues are kind of going to be directing us to different parts of the world. So I will read kind of the preamble for this mission in just a moment, but basically what we're going to be doing is going and searching for stuff at these clue markers. The game, like I said, is an RPG. You'll be fighting monsters, you'll be looting stuff, and trying to do stuff for the mission to complete it. Most of this game is spent drawing cards. You can kind of see some of them over here. I didn't put them all on camera because they're not really, you don't need to see the stacks of cards, but I guess there's lots of different decks of cards. I have these little business card holders that are super useful for saving table space in games that have lots of decks of cards. So a lot of the game is going to be traveling to different locations. This is going to represent where our party is. And drawing event cards and drawing monster cards. The event cards will sometimes give us choices like, hey, this funny man shows up and says these things to you. Do you want to go see what he's doing? Do you want to ignore him? Or do you want to just say, forget it, I'm going to attack him straight away? And then it'll have sort of the results of those choices. If you have played Dead of Winter, the Crossroads cards, how they come out and they give you a prompt and you pick a choice. So it's very similar to this. And then often you will end up fighting monsters as well as a result of that. And the monsters are going to be fought with dice. I have a little dice camera set up that I'll switch to in a sec. But you'll fight the monsters by rolling some dice, comparing their attack numbers to your stats, and comparing your stats to their defense numbers. Combat's pretty quick. It's a decently clever system. It's pretty straightforward, but we'll be doing that a lot. There'll be a lot of dice that get rolled. So like I said, I'm going to be representing us with this this dude here, this little standee. Normally, you put these in a stand and you stand them up like this. But just so everyone can kind of see more clearly where we are, I'm going to be laying the standee down. Where the bottom of the stand is, where the feet of this character is, that is where we're going to be, okay? So I know sometimes it might get a little confusing, but it's the best thing I thought of. I have miniatures and stuff too, but again, you're looking at them like top down, and I think this is maybe easier to see on camera. We'll see. If we continue this campaign, if this goes well and we keep playing the campaign, maybe I will figure out like an angled camera to be looking at the board with instead of top down, and then you can see, you know, something standing up. But we will cross that bridge when we get to it. So let's explain kind of quickly what is out here. I'm not going to do a full rules explanation, but just generally speaking, let's kind of talk about what's out here. So the board is split into a few different regions. We have the highlands up here. They're all yellow. We have the lowlands down here in blue, which is where we start. We've got the badlands up here in like red and purple. And then we've got the wetlands down here in green. They all have different decks of cards associated with them. So different kinds of monsters are going to come out in different regions. And there will be different types of encounters in those regions too. There are also going to be, every turn we're going to do 3 phases. And we will be drawing danger cards in those phases as well. This has little Fantasy Flight sized, you know, mini cards. We're going to be drawing danger cards, and that will determine what kind of events come out in these regions and what kind of monsters we fight. All the regions also have a bunch of territories, which are these numbers kind of scattered around the map. They are going to represent how dangerous or how safe the region is, or that territory is. So for instance, right now we are right here in Brutalberg. It has a green 5. The green means it is a town. If it's orange, it means it's dangerous. But green is a town, and 5 means it's a pretty safe town. The game works on a tug of war track where, let's say, the left side is green and the right side is orange, and both sides go up to 6. So if we have Brutalberg at 5 town, so 5 green, and it gets more dangerous, we're going to knock it down to 4 green, and then 3 green, and then 2 green, and then 1. And from 1, it would then switch, if it goes lower, to orange 1, and then orange 2, orange 3, etc. It just goes back and forth in those tracks. If too much stuff gets to 6 orange and tries to get worse, it cannot get worse than 6, but if it tries to get worse than 6, we're going to advance this track up here that you can probably barely see, because it is kind of the same color as the background. This is the Hand of Doom track. The Hand of Doom is this thing that's going to come out potentially, probably not this mission, but as the campaign goes on, it may. The Hand of Doom can come out and basically make certain areas more dangerous and possibly kill us. If this track fills up, we lose. But the Hand of Doom, like I said, probably won't come out here. It's the subtitle of the game, but it probably will not come out in this phase, in this mission. It could, but it probably won't. Over here on the right side, I have the 2 characters that I'll be controlling. There's the Sickly Soldier and the Mercenary Alchemist. The game plays up to 4 players. In a solo game, you can play with however many you want, 1, 2, 3, or 4. I decided for 2. I think 4 might be a bit much. 1 is probably going to be too hard based on how combat works. So I'm kind of sitting in the middle at 2. I picked these guys because I thought they looked kind of cool and they were maybe a bit different in how they're going to play, or at least their focus. The Sickly Soldier is a little more combat-oriented, and the Mercenary Alchemist, he's got a bit more money to start with and does some stuff outside of combat. Okay, so I think that is basically everything out here that we looked at. In more detail, these characters have 6 stats. They have, let's actually look at this one. This guy's a bit of a glare. This guy's got agility, constitution, magic, morale, perception, and strength. The way you're going to deal with those is pretty much always doing an attribute test. The game will say test perception or test agility or test something else. That means rolling 2 dice, and the combination that you roll has to be equal to or lower than your stat. So if I need to do an agility test as the Mercenary Alchemist, I need to roll on 2 dice. a 7 or lower. If you roll a 12, it is always a failure, and 2 is always a success. There's also these tracks below those stats, and these where you can see a little colored squares. These are different things I'm going to be tracking on the character. We've got this dark red one that is wounds, or I guess it's maybe more of just like an orangish. Anyway, this one is wounds. The green one is luck. So wounds is going to track how much damage you've taken. Luck is something you can spend sort of like a currency. You spend luck to re-roll dice or to prevent this track from increasing. The yellow one is gold. You'll spend that in towns buying items, mostly. The blue one is experience, which is also a currency. You don't level up in this. You don't get to like an experience threshold and level up. You instead spend it like a currency to get new skills. All these characters start with one skill, and when you rest, you can train yourself up in other skills. It's got a whole deck of skills over here, and when you train, you can just pick one that you qualify for and take it. It recommends a couple for characters, so I have those set aside. The Mercenary Alchemist, it recommends these, and the Sickly Soldiers recommended these. You can also upgrade them to their Mastery side, which is going to be the just the same sort of ability, but improved in some way. They all have an experience cost on the lower left of the card, and that is going to be how much it costs to either get the new skill or flip it over, if you have it already. And then the last track here, which is sort of like a purple, it might look a little red to you guys, that is your health. If wounds meets health, that's bad. You basically you're beat up and you're done for. Your health will go up and down as your constitution stat changes. It's your health is double your constitution. So if I lost 1 constitution, I would lose 2 health. If I gained a constitution, I would gain 2 health. Right? So you heal wounds, you take damage with wounds, and that finish line for wounds is going to be your health. There's also a bunch of little words up here, what class you are. So the Mercenary Alchemist is human, militant, and scholar. Certain things are going to say you have to be, this class, or if this class is there, do this thing. They're basically keywords. If you're like a Dungeons and Dragons player, you can't really think of them as a class in that way. They're more like keywords or just kind of classifications of like what is this character about. And so they both have that. We've also got items. The Sickly Soldier and the Mercenary Alchemist start with a handful of things. I've put those items below the character, okay? So the Sickly Soldier has a shoddy helmet and a trench spike. The helmet will help defend him. The trench spike is what he uses to deal damage. And unfortunately, he also starts with this sort of ailment, trench rot, which makes it a little harder for him to heal up. And then the Mercenary Alchemist begins with a flash bomb and a light pistol. Those are both things that you're going to use in combat. The flash bomb goes away when you use it. The pistol does not. And finally, there's a lot of stuff in this game. We have weaknesses. So I guess I should say we start with a couple skills. I mentioned that. Those are over here. I also put weaknesses over here. You can optionally start with a weakness. The game recommends some for the character on the other side of their sheet, or you can draw them at random, or you can not use them at all. It's your choice. I decided to do the recommended weaknesses. So weaknesses have a permanent debuff, a permanent ailment. So the Sickly Soldier is feeble. When you fail a recovery test, you do not remove the fatigued status unless you're in a town. I know that means nothing to you guys if you haven't played this game, but I'll explain that when we get to it. So why would you ever take weaknesses? Because they give you experience bonuses. Normally, you start at a certain point on the experience track. If you have a weakness, you boost it a little bit. So I've opted to take those and boost the experience. And hey, this is an RPG. Giving the characters a little more flavor, not too bad. So he's Fleevel goes west. He is feeble, and the Mercenary Alchemist, because he has an eye patch, is half blind. So he just has worse perception. It's written as 8. His is actually 7 because this gives him -1 permanently. Okay, I think I've explained pretty much everything you immediately need to know on the table over here, so you can kind of see, what's what, more or less. And I'll explain it as I go along. As I need to do something, I'll kind of give an explanation of that thing. Why don't we go ahead and talk about combat right now, because it's going to come up. And so a quick just idea of what combat is like would probably be helpful, but again, I'll talk about it when I'm actually fighting. So we've got over here a little GoPro looking at this dice tower. So the game has a few different colors of dice. It's got these 3 different colors. When you do combat, you typically will roll 2 green, 2 orange, and a purple. Okay, so if I go ahead and roll those now, I'm going to get a bunch of different dice results. And the green ones are going to be for defense, the orange one's for attack, and the purple one is called a power die, and it's a little variable. When I'm attacking a creature, I don't have a monster on hand, so we'll look at an actual monster when we're fighting it. But what I'm going to do first is compare these defense dice to my agility. And it's an agility test. So if you remember before, you need to get equal to or lower than your agility. So this is a 9. These guys have 7 agility, and so they would have failed that agility test. So in combat, they would then take full damage from the enemy. If I succeeded, you would then take damage reduced by the highest die result of your agility dice roll. So in this case, I would take 3 less damage from each monster attacking me. Then I would see if I damage the enemy. I'm comparing these orange dice to whatever stat I'm using to attack. So again, if I look at the Mercenary Alchemist, he has this light pistol. It is a perception attack. So I would compare my 8 perception to, I can actually show you the card. So it says attack, perception, range. The range doesn't matter unless another card or another element of the game says to. So by default, range doesn't really do anything, but you might have an attribute on an enemy that says like, is not affected by ranged attacks. Okay, then this would then not affect him. But I would do a perception test against this. If I roll equal to or below my perception of 8 on the Mercenary Alchemist, that would then hit. And it would do 2 damage, because that is the highest die in that attack dice combination. The purple die, like I said, is a bit variable. When you're fighting, you can fight either in an assault stance, in which case you can use the purple die for your damage instead of your highest orange die. So in this case, I could do 3 damage instead of 2. Or you can be in a guard stance. If you're in a guard stance while you're fighting, same idea. You can use the purple stance to reduce damage instead of your highest green die. Also, if you failed your agility test, so let's say this was that 6 and I failed my defense die, my defense roll, instead of taking full damage because I failed, I can reduce my damage by that. So guard is a little safer and probably what you'll see me in a lot of the time, because this game can be deadly. You can suddenly get hit for like 15 damage and die like immediately. So guard is a bit safer. But again, we'll talk about combat a bit more. Generally speaking, every combat I'm going to be rolling these 5 dice, check defense, check to hit, decide if I want to use the purple die, and then continue. Do that until the creatures are dead. Okay, so broadly speaking, that is kind of how things work. In this mission that we're playing, which is, the game comes with this mission booklet. It's got, I think, like 20 pages or something like that. 21 pages. You're going to be doing what it says for the mission. So here's on the run. I'm going to be, following the stuff on here for setup. A lot of it is setup. And then it'll have, like, when I do a thing, read this thing, and then follow on. So when I find, the soothsayer's head, do this stuff. When I complete the mission, get this reward. And they all have that. And they also all end with a choice, basically. So if I end the mission with this item in this location, I don't just go to the next page and do the next mission. It would say, like, go to page 11 and do that mission. So it's almost like a choose your own adventure book a little bit. Flip to page 11, read this text, play that mission. Oh, flip to page 19. Or choose to do this thing instead and go to page 7. So you're going to be jumping around this mission booklet a decent amount. Unless you die, in which case you will pack up the game and start over. The first mission is relatively straightforward. We're trying to get to... well, you know what? Why don't I read the preamble right now? I was considering some voice modulation for this, but I forgot to test it in time, and I'm worried it would sound not great. So maybe next time. All right, so On the Run is mission number 1. Actually, let me see. I see some things in chat here. Playing under a black light could be trippy. It could. I bet this would actually probably pop pretty decently under a black light. Do we still have... We throw Halloween parties every year. I'm trying to think if we still have any black lights. We might. Maybe I'll have to try that. I'll see how that looks. Oh, you're in Bridgeport. Hey, what's up? Oh, well, it's quite a thunderstorm we got yesterday, Matt, right? I thought my power was going to get knocked out for a bit because it was like thundering super hard around me. But it didn't. It was just thunder and lightning, and it was very, very frightening and great. Yeah, I do have the miniatures for this Comet Crack. I have the minis they're the pewter minis for the adventurers in the base game, from Mean Streets, from Adventurers, and from Freaks and Psychos. So it's all the adventurers miniatures, and then a couple of the Kickstarter exclusives. Like I said, I spent a stupid amount of money on this, because it was a lot with like all the expansions and all this stuff. So I decided to pick that up, because I mean, I don't know, why not? So I did. I figure, like I said, I paint miniatures. In my head, I don't like go out trying to sell games. I don't like buy a game with the intent of selling it, but I always think in my head, like, so if I get this, if I spent $300 on this lot with the game and expansions and minis and all that stuff, and I paint them all up and they look fancy, if I decide in like 2 years I want to flip this game and I have all these miniatures and they're well painted, I bet I could get more than what I paid for it. So in my head, I'm thinking, worst case, this is like, I'll make a couple bucks, right? So I try to think of that when I buy games. It's probably not always true. I'm sure there are people that would rather buy unpainted minis, or people that don't want used stuff. But yes, I have the miniatures. I got all the stuff. I'm trying to find the old exclusive minis. But yeah. Yes, Fleevel's a good Zappa kid. What is Zappa's kid's name again? It's God, I can't think of it right now. So this oh man, I'm drawing a blank. I know he's got like Moon Unit Zappa, and what the heck is his son's name? Why can't I remember? I always liked that Frank Zappa named his kids weird things, but wasn't his wife's name like Jean or Sarah or something? It was like Frank and Martha are like the most common names in the world, and then they have these kids with crazy names. Yeah, there's a lot here for Dweezil and Ahmet. That's right. So yeah, there is a lot. So yeah, okay. I guess for people that might see this and get interested in the game, might be like, oh, Dungeon Degenerates looks neat. I should go buy it, but I don't want to spend $300. You don't have to. The base game is a lot of stuff. The vast majority of the stuff that you're going to see in this game is going to be from the base game. The expansions add new adventurers. The base game comes with 8, and then there are 2 expansions that add 8 more each. And the big expansion, Mean Streets, it's not that big of an expansion. That includes 4 new ones. So you get a total of like 28 adventurers, and but even the 8 base ones are pretty varied. Something I'll say about this company, Goblin Co., is their Dungeon Degenerate stuff is a little pricey. They're a small company. I'm sure there's some justification as to why they're so pricey, but while the base game I think is a decent value, it's like $80 or $90 and you get a lot of stuff. The packs of adventurers that are 8 adventurers a piece with some cards, it's like $40 for those. And whether or not that's worth it to you is up to you. I bought mine, used it a lot. With the minis and everything, I was pretty satisfied. But they're kind of pricey. So maybe look on the aftermarket. If you're interested in the adventurers, maybe you can find them cheaper. But they are a little pricey. They're cool though. They're varied stuff, and all the adventurers are neat looking, and they seem fun to play. Might be a little out of sync. I checked sync beforehand. Is my audio? You're not going to be seeing my face too much. If it's a little out of sync, I might just keep going. Otherwise, I can do a quick a reboot or something if it's too bad. But you're not going to be seeing my face a lot with my lips, so maybe it's not going to be a big deal. Anyway, let's switch down to the board, and we can read the preamble for this and go from there. All right. So we are doing the On the Run mission. As you rot in your filthy prison cell beneath the fortress city of Brutalberg, a shoddy jailer comes to you smelling of cheap gin and rancid oil, offering an illicit deal. He has found something valuable that needs to be kept hidden from his cruel and fanatical commander, the High Magistrate. Unable to leave his post, the jailer offers you your freedom if you will retrieve and deliver a package to his crooked cousin in Pigskin Port. Will you accept this generous offer or refuse him and plot an escape on your own terms? So you can, even though this is the first mission and the start of the campaign, you can actually refuse the offer, which my wife chose to. I read this and she was like, no, screw him, I want to refuse it. In that case, you move on to this mission. And it says here, you may choose to refuse the jailer's offer. If you do, skip this mission and continue on to loot and pillage on page 3, which is this one. I'm going to say that if I accept the offer, the jailer springs you out of the Undercity dungeon and sends you on your way with perhaps enough gear to survive the journey, which is the way what they call your starting items in gold. Yes, the expansions do come with other skill cards, so it is not just those characters. It does come with a few more cards. That is true. So I am going to accept this offer. I think accepting the offer is going to be the move, A, because I'm currently on a campaign that started with this mission, and I'm kind of curious to see this first one. But the Sickly Soldier and the Mercenary Alchemist, I feel like they might be the kind of people, the Mercenary Alchemist certainly, he's a mercenary. You know, if someone makes him an offer, if the deal's good, he might take it. And the Sickly Soldier's not feeling great. He might not be in really a good state of mind to deny help here. He's not feeling well. He's feeble. And so I think he is going to go ahead and accept that offer as well. So we're going to accept the offer, and then I would set the game up just like I did already. So not to break the illusion here, but I in my mind decided to accept this offer when I set this up. So that was all a show for you guys talking through this. I already accepted the offer. So my objective here is going to be to simply rest as a party at clue 1, 2, or 3, which is going to be Pigskin Port, Gutfish Ford, or the Stone Circle. Rest is an action you can take, and so I need to get to one of those places and rest. There's also this clue 6 down here, which is where I can find the Soothsayer's Head. I have put a couple cards aside as per the mission setup, where if I search on clue 6, I'm gonna get these cards. Potentially 1, potentially 2, but that is kind of where we're at with this. So I could, if I wanted to complete the mission, I could simply travel around here to Pigskin Port, and that's it. But I think maybe I want to explore this out a little more, get some items, maybe get some experience, and go through the whole thing. Something I will also say as I'm leaning backwards to put this onto a chair. Something that I want to kind of say is I know how to play this game. I kind of know how things work. There is a lot of stuff in this game. There are a whole lot of statuses. There are a whole lot of exceptions to things. There's a whole lot of procedure to some stuff. The actual sort of flow of the game is pretty straightforward. Do a map action. Typically, it's going to be moving or resting. Draw a danger card. Potentially draw an encounter card. Fight monsters, do it all again. But the kind of minutia of different stuff is a little bit, it can be complicated and hard to keep in your head. So I will probably have to spend time on occasion cross-referencing something. So if I do something and I say, hold on, let me look this up for a second, expect that, once in a while. I'm just as a heads up. It's for your peace of mind and mine. And yes, you start in Brutalberg. On the second mission, if you deny this one and do the second mission, you put down a thing next to Brutalberg and start there, but on the run you start in Brutalberg. Cool, the sync is good. I'm glad. Yes, the art is what sold me on this game for sure. It definitely, again, if it was a more generic fantasy, like this has orcs and elves and monsters and medieval weapons and stuff like that. But if it was not this like sort of garish art, I think Sean Auberg. So the artist for this game is Sean Auberg. The designer of the game is Eric Rady. I'm not sure how you say that. R-A-D, I think E-Y. Sean did all the art for this, and yes, Sean has some really cool art. If you go to the Goblin Coast store, he's got a whole bunch of art, a bunch of stuff for sale. There's like shirts and buttons and stickers and all kinds of things. It's all in this sort of style, and it's all very cool. But yes, Eric Rady designed this game, the mechanics. Sean Auberg did the art. I think they've collaborated on a bunch of stuff, maybe like privately or previous, like, throughout the years. This is the first game they've put out for sale. But the art, the art very, very much stands out. I guess I'll have to continue tradition. I'll continue tradition here of every single Dungeon Degenerates video on the internet saying you will either love this art or you will hate this art, and there's not really an in-between. And I think that is, I would agree with that. This art is in your face. It is, like I said, I called it garish before, and it is. It's like, it just slaps you across the face with color and detail and like contrasting colors, and like stuff is kind of wild looking. We'll have to, on the die cam, when I'm pulling cards out, I'll have to kind of stick them there to get good close-ups of them, because they look great. Yes, there's Pork Magazine, which I think is, the Goblin Co. is from Oregon, Portland, I think. And I think Pork is distributed there. I think it's distributed in other places too, but I feel like, my wife is from Oregon, from Eugene, Oregon. I feel like maybe I've seen Pork magazines around when we visited. I would have to, next time we're there, I'll have to look around. But yes, Pork. Actually, most of the issues for Pork, many of them anyway, are online for free. If you go to Board Game Geek, on the Dungeon Degenerates page, one of the top threads is like, hey, Pork Magazine is free right now, and you can go see PDFs of like many of them. Just kind of a funky magazine. There's a bunch of like weird stuff in it. Go check it out. Also, the artist for the game, Sean, had a stroke a couple of years ago, and he's recovering right now. Seems like his recovery is going all right. And I think he's kind of in the stage right now where he's relearning like his illustrations and drawing and kind of getting motor skills back. And so best of luck to his recovery, his continued recovery, and hopefully he will continue to produce more cool stuff. All right, so the first thing we need to do is the map action phase. On the map action phase, we can do a couple of things. Actually, the first thing we need to do is decide, as the party leader, who the game will have a party where everyone is together, but you can split up. I only have one dude on the map right now because it's going to be easier to keep track of instead of putting multiple down. And I don't intend to split the party up, but if we do, I'll have to, put a second dude down to note that the party is split up. But right now we're one party. Both these guys are here together. Every party has a party leader, which is the character with the most morale. Because I'm playing a solo game, I will be making the choices regardless, but in a multiplayer game, whoever has the highest morale would be the party leader, and that's the sickly soldier here. So I'm going to have to do, first decide if I want to be in the bold stance or the cautious stance. The difference is going to be the bold stance gives you access to a few extra map actions, basically lets you move further, while the cautious stance lets you potentially avoid monster fights. As you travel through the dangerous regions. Right now, I'm going to stick to the bold stance. When you move, you can take one step to the roads, and then one step to the next location, and then to the roads, then location, etc. If you're in the bold stance, you can skip the roads. For the most part. There are some you can't, but for the most part, you can skip the roads. So I'm going to stay in the bold stance, and I'm going to take a map action of moving, forced marching. Forced march is where you skip the roads. So I'm going to go from Brutalberg, skipping these roads, and landing here at the crossroads where Clue 6 resides. So that is my map action. Okay, you get one map action, and that was it. Now, I move into the danger phase. So I'm going to draw the top card in the danger deck, and then deal with what it says. So why don't we switch to this cam. Oops. Hey guys, how you doing? It's me, Scott. Let's switch for real now to the die cam. Nope, hold on. I'm not used to using 3 cameras or running. There we go. Hey, look at that. It's this one. This is why I usually have Ben here running the switcher for me, because if we have a bunch of cameras, I can forget which one is set to which one. So anyway, so here is what is going to be on a danger card. We've got the top, which is going to always happen. It will often increase the danger level of a region. In this case, it's going to be an outbreak in the lowlands, which is an expansion card. And then we're going to see if we have to do an encounter or not, which is going to be based on these numbers in the middle. And then if we do an encounter, we have to do stuff on the bottom here of this card. So first, actually, I think we're going to do stuff on the bottom regardless. But first, there's a lowlands outbreak. Roll a d6 and place a plague counter at one of those locations. So let's go ahead and roll this purple die, and we got a 6. So that is going to be Witch Hill. Witch Hill is going to get a plague icon. Plague counter, which is this. This game, by the way, has a trillion different counters. They're all up here, kind of off camera. I have them in 3 GMT counter trays, and they are full. So there are lots and lots of counters. So we're going to go ahead and place this into, what does it say, Witch Hill? All right. That is going to go to Witch Hill. Right here. Okay? So plagues are, it's a thing from the expansion, and it is maybe very thematic given the world we're living in right now. And so this plague counter is just going to hang out for right now. But as more of these come out, it's going to spread, and if it gets on your characters, it does bad stuff. So plagues are not ideal. Okay, but right now, it just gets that, and yeah. So that's all we're gonna do for that top part. Then we're gonna move into this next one. So this is gonna determine if we have to deal with bad guy stuff or not. So if you recognize that that icon that we had just had, it's the same as the plague counter. You can see this little bug here. So if we're in a space where there is not a plague counter, we're going to deal with the number as if it were 4. If there is a plague counter, we go for 2. We want these to be high if we don't want to fight things. And this is honestly one of the harder things to kind of keep in my head as I'm playing. I keep having to like remind myself that it is backwards to how I expect it. But the higher the number here, this is like the danger check or danger counter. The higher the number, the better it is for us not fighting stuff, okay? What we're gonna do is compare this number to the space that we are in. And if this number on the card is equal to or lower, we then have to deal with an encounter there. If, however, the number is higher than the space, we don't do an encounter and we just go on to the next map phase. So if we switch to the board here. So we are not in a plague space. There's not a plague marker here. So we'll deal with that 4 number. And at the crossroads, we're going to use the danger value of the fields. I know that because it says so right underneath the crossroads. That's 2. This 4 is higher than 2, which means we're cool. No danger. So this then gets discarded. And we will not do an encounter phase this turn. If we did have to do an encounter phase, you then reference that chart on the bottom of that danger card. But as it stands right now, no encounter, which is cool. All right, then we simply move on. It's the map phase again. So we're hanging out here at the crossroads at this number 6 clue. In order to uncover the clue, we have to explore that tile. Okay, and exploring is part of a greater action. It's almost like a little tree that expands. When you take the rest action, there's a bunch of actions you can take as part of that rest action. And it's kind of the only one that's like that. Right? Everything else is move. You just move. You do something else. You force to march. You just force to march. But if you rest, you then have a bunch of options. And one of those is explore. So I'm going to go ahead and rest at this location. The first thing you do when you rest is you go ahead and you roll recovery dice to see if you heal, and you remove any statuses you have, good and bad. Let's see. So this will not come into play. I got to make sure I'm keeping up with like the different status stuff or the different weaknesses I have. Okay, so Trench Rot will come into play here. Even though I'm fully healed, normally in that case, I wouldn't care about rolling healing dice because I'm already fully healed, right? I can't heal anymore. But because the Sickly Soldier has this disease, when you fail a recovery test, you become infected. So I'm going to have to try to recover. When I do a recovery test, I do a morale check. So we'll switch to the dice here. The Sickly Soldier has a morale of 8. So I'm going to roll those 2 dice, and I got a 7. That means I succeeded. And this only comes into play when I fail a recovery test. This Trench Rot. Here we can get a good look at some of the art on these cards. So Trench Rot, it's pretty rad looking. It's the picture of the Sickly Soldier. And so when you fail a recovery test, you become infected after resolving the recovery action. So I did not fail. All is good. And I can get rid of this by going to Brutalberg and paying a bunch of money, which I do actually have enough cash between my 2 characters right now. So maybe that would have been a good idea before I left Brutalberg. Maybe I'm an idiot, but that's fine. Maybe we'll come back. Okay, so then as part of this rest action, I am currently in, and there are on every location here, there are a bunch of little icons that you're definitely not going to be able to see. You'll just have to trust me when I say that they're there. The Crossroads is an outdoor space and a law space. There's a whole law thing in this game. There's a law deck, and if you have to deal with encounter cards while in a law space, some of them will say, do extra things if you're in a law space. So we are in a law space right now. I believe almost all of these in the lowlands are. Brutalberg is the capital. That's where the law comes from. And so they kind of patrol this region pretty justly. And in this mission, we've got these pink discs that have the little noose on them, which is the law symbol. So those are all here as well. Basically, this spot in the middle, Witch Hill, is dangerous. I don't want to go there. Anyway, so I'm going to explore for that clue. To do an explore test, I have to make a perception test. So let's see. The Mercenary Alchemist has 8 perception, though it is -1 because he's half blind. And the Sickly Soldier has 7. So they're actually tied. It doesn't matter who makes the perception test here. So we are going to have, we'll do the Sickly Soldier is going to try that. So let's go ahead and make a perception test to explore. Ooh, and I got a 10. So that does not succeed. I can, if I desire, use luck to re-roll one of these dice. Okay, otherwise I fail the exploration. I'm going to have to try that again next turn, basically waste time sitting here. I think I'm going to try, I'm going to use some luck. I'm going to use some luck. And I feel like in a lot of games where you have a limited kind of supply of things, like one-time use items or luck you have to spend, I tend to get very, very hesitant about spending that stuff. So I'm going to be not hesitant, and I'm going to go for it. And I'm going to spend a luck, so I'm going to go from 4 to 3 luck, and you re-roll one of these die faces. Typically, here I'd re-roll the higher result if there was a choice, but because they're the same, I'm just going to re-roll either one. So this is unlikely, kind of, that I succeeded this off of the 5, now that I'm kind of thinking this through, because I'm going to need to get a 1 or a 2 on this to succeed. So, is it worth that luck to do that? So every character has a way they get luck back. The Sickly Soldier gets it if he wins a fight. If he is the only person to have wounds, you make a Constitution test, and then you get a luck back if you succeed. So as long as he gets beat up, then maybe that's over. Then maybe he can get it back easily. You know what? We're here. I already said I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I need a 1 or a 2 on this die. And I got another 5. Perfect. So I could keep spending luck to re-roll it. I am not going to waste my time on a 1/3 chance to succeed here. And so I will go ahead and say, fine, I did not succeed in looking for that clue. So, okay, then furthering on the rest action, I believe now the Mercenary Alchemist could do it too. I think they can each take those actions, but let me confirm that real quick. This is going to be the first of probably many looking stuff up. If the Mercenary Alchemist can do a discrete exploring action. So let's see, rest. Each adventurer can take turns performing any number of rest actions. Okay, so you can only do 1 each. You can do as many rest actions as you want, but you can only do each one 1 time. So I'm going to have the Mercenary Alchemist now do that explore. The sickly soldier failed. Same deal. He has 7 perception, and he did not find it either. And I'm not going to use luck to get that back. Okay, and then the other things I can do is I can trade. If I'm in a town, which I'm not, I can invest in a settlement, which I'm not in a settlement, and I could improve to get new skills, which I might do, because I've got a couple of cool skills here. I've got the ones that I kind of picked out early, again, the recommended skills. So I think I'm going to have the sickly soldier pick up this ferocious charge. If it's the first turn after entering a fight, you can roll an additional power die when using a strength attack this turn. And his trench spike is a strength attack. So I'm going to spend 8. Actually, let me look at his polearm discipline. What does that allow me to do? So that, his existing skill. First round of a fight, unless you are stunned. So normally his polearm discipline allows him to attack before enemies get a chance to fight back. Combat is done simultaneously between your characters and the enemies. So even if you kill them, they're still going to do their damage to you. This allows me, which he already has this polearm discipline is going to let him attack before the enemies get a chance to on the first round of a fight. So that's not bad. That's actually pretty good. And when I graduate it to a mastery, if you're using a reach attack with a two-handed heavy item, resolve the effects before you're allowed that range. I'm okay. Maybe I'm not reading this apparently properly. Oh, I see. So normally he has to be in the guarded stance, but when he graduates it, he can be in the assault stance if he wants to. So I don't have to be guarded, whereas ferocious charge requires that I be in the assault stance. So that means if I'm in this stance using this, I could not use polearm discipline because it's in the guarded stance unless I graduate it to mastery. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend my experience here to graduate this from the regular skill into a mastery. It's going to cost me 8. So I go from 13, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, down to 5. And then the Mercenary Alchemist could also pick something up. Again, the ones I was looking at were Transmute and Find Weakness, and he has Alchemy. And so Alchemy, I can basically buy discarded items for a cost. And if I upgrade it, it's cheaper. Transmute allows me to sell it, basically do the opposite. I can destroy items to get money. And Find Weakness allows me to have people do extra damage, but I have to be in the guarded stance. I'm going to go straight away and pick up Find Weakness on the Mercenary Alchemist. So he's got to be in the guarded stance, and then he puts that card on an enemy, and they take more damage, because he figures out what their weak point is. He sees a big glowing orb on their belly, and he says, hey, sickly soldier, stab him in the belly, and then they take more damage. So that cost me 8 as well. So from 11 down to 3. Great, and that's going to be the end of that rest action. So now we draw a danger card. See what we got here? We've got Goblin Warbands, hunt for slaves and plunder. Their war horns resounding across the wasteland. So the wasteland's a location, and this means that the wasteland gets more dangerous. So we're going to change the danger level of the wasteland from 3 up to 4. Now, if, while we're raising danger levels with these cards, it tells us to raise the danger level of a location that is already 6, that is when the Hand of Doom shows up and the Doom track increases. This last chance with the little hand pointing, that is only relevant if the Hand of Doom is already in the game. He would move to that location. And then this is a 1. So again, if this is equal to or lower than the region we're in, we're going to do an encounter. Well, the fields phase is what we're checking, or the field danger level, which is a 2. This is a 1, which means we're going to have an encounter. And even if we had the opportunity to raise this by sneaking around, which is an option, it isn't for us right now, but it would be potentially in the future, it wouldn't matter to do that because that would only make it equal to the danger level. And so we'd still be dealing with an encounter. So now we reference the stuff on the bottom of this right here. If there's this little book with a plus, the one that's in pink, That means we are going to draw an encounter card and resolve it. And we then, this number 1 to 4, that is referencing party size. Our party size is 2, because we have two adventurers in the party. And so we're going to have to fight 2 monsters. That is what that the crossed weapons with a 2 next to it means. So, first thing we do is we draw a lowlands, because we're in the lowlands, encounter card. If this says resolve immediately, we resolve it immediately. If it doesn't say resolve it immediately, we're going to fight the monsters first. It says resolve immediately. That's what these red banners are for. And once again, we're going to check a couple of symbols. The top half is if we're in a forest. The bottom one is if we're not in a forest. And we are not in a forest. So this top half is irrelevant to us right now. So what does this say? This says, Children of the Vermin Queen. Resolve immediately. Dozens of tiny inhuman eyes watch you, gleaming like rubies in the shadows. The party may feed or fight these vermin spies. Now for stuff like this, it's got some text. I don't know how well you can see that. It's got some text and then gives me an option. I can feed or I can fight. Oh, sorry, they feed or fight. No, sorry, the party. The party may feed or fight these vermins. So I'm covering up the bottom here because that's going to determine, that kind of tells me if I choose to feed, this happens. If I fight, this happens. This is a role-playing game. I like to make a choice based on what my adventurers would know. They wouldn't know what would happen if I fed these guys. So I am going to think here. If, let's see, a bunch of little vermin run up to me. A bunch of little inhuman dudes run up to me, their eyes watching, gleaming like rubies in the shadows. Feed them or fight them. I mean, rats that's not that cool. They carry disease. The sickly soldier's already sick. I think I'm just going to fight the rats. What am I going to feed them with? Like, if I have a flash bomb, do I pull little, like, flash bomb nuggets out of this thing and feed them? I'm just going to fight them. So, if I fight them, it's got their stats on the bottom of the card right here. So, we're going to deal with that. So they have an attack of 4. They attack everyone out here, so they'll be hitting both these people. Typically, you're going to assign a monster to one or the other, and it says how you determine that. This says it attacks all of them. They have 5 health. They're worth 1 experience, and they have the skirmish ability. So skirmish is an ability that is, if this monster is alive at the end of a combat round and the danger level in the space is less than 6, which it is, increase the danger level. Increase the bounty level instead if the monster is from a law deck. It is not from a law deck. Then remove all counters from this monster and shuffle it back into the deck. So the monster is going to show up, cause some trouble, make the world more dangerous, and run away. In other words, I want to kill it, right? I want to kill this thing kind of quick. It has 5 health, which is a decent amount of health. That's not bad. It does not have any armor, though, so it's going to take full damage, all right? And it is attacking both of these people. Now, we're fighting. When we fight, whoever has the highest perception will go first. We have tied perception because of this half blindness on the Mercenary Alchemist at 7, so I get to choose who wants to go first. Take a sip of this Coke Zero with grenadine. It's the drink I've been drinking lately. Well, actually, you know what? I'll say that after here. So let's fight. Let's have the sickly soldier go first. Because he goes first, he'll be able to stab this thing. Yeah, he'll be able to stab this guy before it gets a chance to attack, because of his polearm discipline. That makes it so if you're using a reach weapon, you may resolve the effects of your attack before you resolve the attack of monsters targeting you without range. These guys don't have range, so let's go ahead and fight. So switching back to the dice cam, we can sit these over here. So this is who we're fighting. I'm going to roll all of these. And first I need to decide, am I going to be in the assault stance or am I going to be in the guard stance? Again, the assault stance will let me potentially do more damage because I can use this to do my damage instead of my higher orange die. Or if I'm in the guard stance, I can use this to absorb hits. The rats hit for 4 damage, which is actually kind of a lot. And okay, you know what? I'm gonna switch to the guard stance. I'm gonna go into my guard stance so that I can take a little less damage. So let's go ahead and roll these bones. And I'm going to do a little extra also because of my trench spike. So there we go. So I'm glad I went into guard stance because I got on my my green dice a 6 and a 5. That means I fail my defensive roll. But I can still use this purple die to absorb damage. These things do 4 damage to me. The purple will absorb up to 5. And so I take no damage from these rats, which is great. Remember, they are going to attack the Mercenary Alchemist too, though, so he could still take damage if they survive. Actually, I wouldn't. I'm sorry. I'm just not thinking through enough here. I should have, because I'm attacking first. I should have just gone to the assault stance anyway. Whatever. Here we are. So this was a 6. I'm not cheating. That is a 6. So a 6 and a 4 is 10. I use my strength to attack. I have an 8 strength, so I do not hit. I kind of want to kill these dudes. So I think I might go ahead and spend luck, but I generate luck. You know what? No, I'm not going to spend luck. I will take this. I'll take this whiff, and just move on from there. So now the rats don't actually attack me at all. Even if they did, I would still absorb all that damage. And so now the Mercenary Alchemist is going to go ahead and attack the rats, and the rats will fight back against the Mercenary Alchemist here. So he's also going to go into a guard stance. And he's going to attack with his light pistol, which uses perception. So roll them up. Man, I'm just not getting it with these rolls. So a 6 and a 2 is 8, which does not succeed the agility check. But because I'm in the guard stance again, I can use that purple die to absorb the damage. So the rats, their 4 damage is not more than that 6 purple die. So I will not take any damage on the Mercenary Alchemist. Unfortunately, I also won't deal any damage because I rolled a 6 and a 4, which is higher than my 7 perception. So no hits all around. Next round of combat. And we're just going to kind of keep doing this over and over again till the monsters are dead or till I'm dead. I could also flee. If I felt like I was over my head, I could flee. But it's only rats. I think I can fight them. So Sickly Soldier is now going to attack. Staying in the guard stance. So 6 and a 2. That again, not good enough to defend. But the purple die allows me to absorb all the damage. And a 4 and 4, 8 against my 8 strength, which does succeed, which means I will deal 4 damage to those rats. Though actually, let me think about, maybe, do I want to take the 4 damage? Because then I get luck. If I'm the only one to take wounds. Nah, I only have 6 con. That's going to be hard to succeed on that anyway. Basically, if my Sickly Soldier is the only one to take damage in a fight, I can then make a Constitution check to get a luck. Every character has a unique way of generating luck. And so that's how the Sickly Soldier does it, but he only has 6 Constitution, which means the odds are against me for rolling equal to or under that on 2 dice. So I will not take the damage. I'll take it I'll absorb the damage, like I said, from that purple power die. And that is going to do 4 damage to the rats, and they only have, they have 5 HP. So never mind. So they're not dead yet. I thought they had 4. They have 4 damage, but they have 5 HP. So 3, they've taken 4 damage. And now the Mercenary Alchemist is going to attack. Also staying in the guard stance. Okay, so same deal. Failed agility. The 6 absorbs all the damage. 4, 5, 6, 7 is enough perception for him to hit. And he will shoot them for 4 damage, ignoring an armor if they had any, which they don't, but the light pistol allows him to ignore 1 arm, which is armor. So he successfully hits them, and that's going to do 4 damage. They only needed to take 1 more to die, so they are DED dead. When a creature dies, you take it as a trophy. Taking stuff as a trophy is pretty temporary. It is only for calculating experience gains and loot. So I killed these guys. I get 1 experience for the Mercenary Alchemist, so he goes from 3 to 4. And I get to make a loot roll. It's possible these rats were carrying something around that I want. So I'm going to roll a die. If I get equal to or less than the total experience of all my trophies, I get a loot. They have 1 experience, so I'm going to throw this in there, and I got a 2. Didn't think I'd succeed. Didn't even bother switching to the camera. So these guys are dead, and I stick this into the back of the encounter deck, because that's how I'm treating discards here. I'm putting it the opposite way in the back. In case you guys saw these little stands and were wondering, those are neat, but how the heck do you discard stuff? I put it in the back facing the other way, And then when I need to shuffle, I just take those and shuffle them up. Okay, so that encounter was done, but we are, or that danger, that part of the encounter was done. We still have 2 monsters to fight. On the bottom of this card, it says fight 2 monsters. It's after the encounter card if it's resolved immediately. So now we're going to draw 2 monster cards and fight them. Switch over to here. We've got a Moon Witch, which is, I was actually playing Sea Evil last night, which has a Sea Witch, so this must be her cousin or something. And, hey, look at that, another witch, and a Night Witch. So we've got 2 witches that we need to deal with here. And these guys, looking at them, are actually kind of tough. So this is what most monster cards look like. You've got the name of it up top, and below that is the classes they have. So human, cult, heretic, witch, which is the same on the other one. You have their experience value and their gold value over on the left. So 2 experience, 2 gold each, which is actually on the higher end. And then on the bottom, you have how they target creatures. So this targets the person with the most magic. This one targets the person with the lowest morale. The stuff on the black bar is their arrival action. So they will immediately curse. They will both do a curse action before anything happens. And then they have abilities, summon and summon/venom. So those are things that will go on during combat. And then the amount of damage they do, attack 4 and attack 4. So they'll do 4 damage if they hit. They have no armor, and they have 6 HP in the case for both of them. So that is what a standard sort of monster card looks like. And we're going to fight both these now. So we need to assign these to people in combat. The Moon Witch will attack the person with the highest magic, which is the Mercenary Alchemist at 8. And then the Night Witch will attack someone. Is there a better way to maybe show these? We could say, why don't we do it like this? Sit him here. I'm going to put a dummy marker on the map for right now. So the Moon Witch is going to attack. It's going to fight the Mercenary Alchemists. Put that there. And the Night Witch attacks the person with the lowest morale, which is also the Mercenary Alchemist. So he's going to be getting attacked by both of them. Now that doesn't mean that the Sickly Soldier is not part of this combat. In fact, he sort of has a bit of a benefit. He can choose who he wants to attack. Normally, you can only attack a person that you're engaged with in combat. But if you are engaged with no one, which is the case with the Sickly Soldier, you can choose your target. And which also means he's probably going to switch to Assault Stance, so he has a better chance of doing good damage. For those of you that have not played this, is this making sense? Is this sounding like kind of logical? I'm trying to explain it as best I can. So hopefully to those of you that are unfamiliar with Dungeon Degenerates, and also I'm proud of myself for not stumbling over Dungeon Degenerates yet. Hopefully his combat's making sense, what I'm kind of doing. So the Mercenary Alchemist is engaged with both of them. The Sickly Soldier, though, is going to try to stab them both in the back. Because their perception is tied, the Sickly Soldier is going to attack first. And he's going to switch to the Assault Stance, like I said. He has no risk of getting attacked. So I'm only going to roll these 3 dice. Because he's not getting attacked, I don't have to worry about the Sickly Soldier's defense dice. And so if he attacks with that item, on the turn he enters the fight, he will deal an additional damage. And so he's going to choose to attack. Oh, actually, you know what? I need to do those curses first. So the curse is going to, let's see, curse. The monster's target must make a magic test. If you fail this test, lose a luck and become demoralized. So he's going to have to make two checks against his magic. He has a magic of 8, so his success rate's all right. 5, 6, 7. He succeeds. That's against the first one, the Moon Witch. Let's try the Night Witch. And that one does not succeed. So he will become demoralized and lose a luck. Now, I might as well use a luck to try to re-roll it. Because if I fail the test, I lose a luck. So I might as well lose a luck trying to succeed. I mean, I might end up losing 2 luck. But being demoralized kind of sucks. There are tons of status effects in this game. Demoralized would give him -1 to his morale. So why don't we spend a luck? Well, he has magic 8, so I need a 1, 2, or 3. It's a 50-50 shot. Let's do it. I'm going to be brazen with my luck spending this game, so let's do it. So a 1, 2, or 3 is what I need on this rerolled die in order to not get cursed. And I got a 1. Look at that. So I spent the luck that I would have lost anyway, getting cursed, but I don't get demoralized now. He feels good about himself, which is great. Everyone should feel good about themselves once in a while. So the Mercenary Alchemist is right now one of those guys. All right, so combat begins. I'm going to have, like I said, the Sickly Soldier do his dirty work and stab this Moon Witch with a Trench Spike, which sounds mean, but consider that she is a Moon Witch. Now, it doesn't sound that mean, does it? So take a stab in the Assault stance, and that is going to hit, and that is going to hit for 6 damage, too, because I'm in the Assault stance. So a big stab to this Moon Witch, 6 damage from here. So I guess to re-explain it, I'm checking my 2 orange dice against my strength, because that is what the weapon tells me to check. I have a strength of 8. I roll a 6, that is equal to or below the 8. I succeed. I then deal damage with the highest orange die, or because I'm in my Assault stance, I can use the purple die for damage, and that's exactly what I'm doing. And the Trench Spike says, attacks with this item inflict +1 damage if you or your target entered the fight this round, which is the case. So I'm going to actually deal 7 damage to this Moon Witch, not that it matters, because she only has 6 HP. So she's immediately killed, which is cool, and I'm going to put her by the Sickly Soldier because he gets her as a trophy for experience and gold. And now it is time for the Mercenary Alchemist to go. He's going to stay in his guard stance, so I can use this purple die for defense. And I'm going to shoot her with a pistol. Babu. Okay, so 5 and 3, that means 5 and 3. 3 and 2 equals 5, which is less than 7 agility. So I succeed in my agility check, which means I will take damage less the highest green die or my purple die because I'm in the guard stance. They're both 3. I take 3 less damage. She deals 4 damage. As you can see on the bottom here, she will deal 4 damage. And so he's going to take 4 minus 3 in wounds, so he'll take 1 wound. And she also has the Summon ability, which is, if the monster is alive at the end of its first combat round, draw a monster from its deck and add that monster to the fight. So she's going to bring some more dudes in the fight unless she dies right now. Which I can see she is not going to. Unless... I'm in the guard stance. So I actually could apply... I think maybe I should have done it before, but I'm going to say screw it and do it right now. So I can make a perception test with my Find Weakness to attach it to her. And that'll make her take an additional damage. So I'm going to make a perception test. I should have done this probably before actually rolling damage, but I'm gonna go ahead and make that test anyway right now. I will keep my existing roll, which succeeds. We'll set all these aside. I'm going to go ahead and make a perception test with Find Weakness to find her weakness before I actually put a bullet in her belly. And I need a perception test. So if I succeed, she gets that card and she'll take an additional damage. So I have a perception of 7, and I rolled... Hey, look at that, a 7. So I succeed in attaching this Find Weakness to her. She takes an additional damage. Going back to my attack roll, I succeeded and dealt the highest orange die, which is 5, plus 1 from Find Weakness. And she's dead. Shoot her in the belly. She does not summon anything. She doesn't survive to the end of her first combat round. And so the Mercenary Alchemist collects that trophy. Actually, I definitely... Hold on. I'm reading this more closely now. I'm definitely cheating. This is an action in and of itself. So never mind. She's not dead. Before I get too far ahead and realize that I've cheated so badly that I've ruined the integrity of the game, instead of attacking, I would apply this. So I am going to just deal 5 damage to her. 3, 4, 5. Sorry, Mercenary Alchemist. I tried to hook you up, buddy, with that Find Weakness business, but I kind of slipped on it. So she takes 5 damage, and that means she does survive to the end of this first combat round. So she's going to summon a new monster for us to have to deal with. So looking at that here, it's going to be draw a monster from its deck and add that monster to the fight. If there are icons listed, draw from that deck instead. There are no icons listed, so she will just draw from the Lowlands deck, and it's going to be a Wolfman. So we're fighting a Wolfman. He has very high attack, very high HP, 5 attack, 8 HP, and he attacks the person with the lowest perception, which is tied 7 between the Sickly Soldier and Mercenary Alchemist. And so because of that, I get to choose who he attacks. I'm going to go ahead. Oliver's pushing a lens cap off of a counter, so that's very kind of you, buddy. I'm happy you're doing it. Happy you're having fun, bud. I'm going to have... Don't you love it how Cat's just like... Oliver just walked over to the counter, just across the way over here. You can't see it. You might have heard it. Just looked at that lens cap, paused, pushed it off the counter, and then just walked away. That was it. Nothing, not doing anything with it, just pushing it. Anyway, so this guy, I can choose who he attacks. He's going to go attack the Sickly Soldier. Because the Mercenary Alchemist is already getting beat up. And if the Mercenary Alchemist doesn't take any damage... Oh, he already took damage, I guess, so never mind. Wolfman's attacking the Sickly Soldier. Cool. So that is this whole situation. Let's move on to the next round, which is going to involve the Wolfman fighting the Sickly Soldier. And we'll go ahead and do that. So the Sickly Soldier's turn is going to be attacking the Wolfman. He's going to switch to guard stance because the Wolfman can deal a lot of damage. 5 damage is no joke. That is going to be about a third of the Sickly Soldier's health. All right. So let's go ahead and stab him with the Trench Spike. And I get +1 damage because he entered combat this round. So hopefully we can do a lot of damage and kill him. I mean, we won't. We can only do 6 damage or 7 damage total, but we'll kill him next round then. Okay, so defense. 2 and a 1 succeeds, and I will take that 2 damage off of what he deals to me, which is 5. So I will take 3 damage. 1, 2, 3. And then I will attack him with strength. That 7 is lower than my 8 strength, so I will hit him for 4 damage, +1 from my polearm is 5 damage. So that's 3, 4, 5. And then we move on to the Mercenary Alchemist's turn. Now, if both those witches were still in play and this thing came out, I would probably want to escape. I would probably want to escape from this fight because that would be overwhelming, not to mention the other witch would have been summoning something too. But thankfully, I stabbed her in the belly with a trench spike. So, Mercenary Alchemist is going to shoot the witch again in the belly. Staying in the guard stance. So 3 and 2 succeeds. I take 3 less damage from her. She deals 4, so I would take 1 damage after removing that 3. And that 5 and that 4, unfortunately, is too high for me to successfully shoot her, so we're just going to leave it at that. Go back to the Sickly Soldier. Sickly Soldier, going to stab this Wolfman in the belly. Staying in the guard stance. Okay, 6 and 2, that is 8. That is not lower than agility, but I get to reduce damage by 3 because of my guard stance. So that is 2 more damage that I've taken. 5 minus 3 is 2. And then my 3 and my 2 succeeds. It's lower than my strength of 8. My Trench Spike is going to stab him for 3 more damage. He has 8 health. He's taken 5 so far. So 5, 6, 7, 8 means 1 dead Wolfman. So if you're just flying through combat, if you're not pausing to break everything down, it actually moves pretty quick. All right, and now it's going to be the Mercenary Alchemist and this, what is this? This Night Witch. Same deal. Guard stance, pistol. Pow. That's going to be a 4 and a 3 is 7. That succeeds. I will take 5 less damage, so no damage from her. And the 1 and the 1, 2 is always a success, so that 2 succeeds, and I will shoot her, unfortunately, for 1 damage. But that is getting her close to death. It kills her. She's at 3, 4, 5. Only has 6 HP. She's dead. DED. Killed her good. So, she's going to be taken as a trophy by the Mercenary Alchemist. And now, again, we're going to add experience and gold. So, the Wolfman and the Moon Witch for the Sickly Soldier, they give 2 experience each, so it's +4. going from 6 to 10. Pretty good, Sickly Soldier. And the Moon Witch actually gives 2 gold, so he's going to go from 5 to 7. Actually, sorry, I was at 5 experience. I actually should have gone from 5 to 9, not 5 to 10. And then I get to roll for loot. So these are both worth 2 experience, so I need to roll on a single die, a 1, 2, 3, or 4, and I will collect some loot. And I got a 3, so I'll take the top card off the loot deck, which is the Scrag's Milk. And I get to throw that into my Sickly Soldier's inventory. What does this do? Anytime during the map action phase, you may discard this card and make a Constitution test. If you pass, you become invigorated and lose the fatigued condition. If you fail, you become poisoned. So it can give me invigorated and get rid of fatigued. Fatigue shows up when you forced march. You make a contest, which I actually realized I forgot to make a contest earlier when I forced marched. Sorry, bumping that a little bit. Yeah, we'll take that. And then the Night Witch for the Mercenary Alchemist is also 2 experience, 2 gold. He is rich. He has 10 gold, which is a lot. And he gets to roll a die. On a 1 or a 2, he gets loot. He does not get loot. And then all these cards go back into the Lowland Monsters deck. Oliver is doing very important work. Yes, he's a smart cat, so I trust that he is doing the right thing here, just like Mookie. All right. Let's then go ahead, place our dude back out on the map. And that is the end of that encounter phase. So encounter phases, it adds a little bit of time, a little more stuff to do, especially if you're fighting a bunch of stuff. But they don't come up every phase. And so we defeated those monsters. In defeating those monsters, you also lower the danger level of the region. So we are in, reach over here, we're checking the fields. So that's going to lower that from a 2 to a 1. And now we go back to the map phase. Well, we need to rest again to explore. Still got to find that clue. So we're going to rest, and that's going to let us heal up a little bit. The Sickly Soldier is going to go ahead and make his rest check. So he has a morale of 8, which is not too bad. And that's going to be a success. So he gets to heal up to 8 wounds. He's at 5. That'll fully heal him. And then it's only when he fails a recovery test does Trench Rot kick in. So then the Mercenary Alchemist, actually, we'll do them all procedurally. So Sickly Soldier did his recovery. Now he's going to explore. We're going to roll these 2 dice again. And we got a 9. That does not succeed in perception. Let's go ahead and do the Mercenary Alchemist's healing. We'll roll 2 dice to heal. Check morale. His morale is 7. He rolled a 9. So he instead heals half of his morale. You always round up in this game. So half of 7 is 3.5, rounding up to 4. But he only has 2 wounds, so he'll just fully heal regardless. And then he is going to attempt an explore action as well. He got a 5. So he beat his perception of 7, which means he successfully explores clue number 6. So let's go ahead and take a look at the mission book. The mission is going to tell us what happens. So, 6. Where the jailer buried the soothsayer's head to hide it from the witch smellers of the Inquisition. Objective. Finding the soothsayer's head. When you successfully explore at clue number 6, remove clue number 6 and draw a random card from the mission deck. Let's go ahead and do that right now. We've only got 2 cards in this mission deck. One is the soothsayer's head, and one is the fungal parasite. The parasite's bad. Either way, I'm going to get the soothsayer's head, but I might get it and it's all poisoned and it makes, a parasite jumps up my nose or something. Or I get it straight away. And I'm going to get, straight away, soothsayer's head. So then, if you draw the soothsayer's head, you may discard the remaining mission card to the loot discard pile. Awesome. So, and when you dig up the soothsayer's head, its haunting, raspy voice whispers to you in an ancient language. And when I read this before, I was curious as to why it didn't tell me what it said, and then I realized it was an ancient language that I probably don't understand, so it makes sense I don't know what it says. If any adventurer in the party meets the requirements of the soothsayer's head, which is a magic of 7 or higher, or the Puritan class, you can make sense of his desperate pleas to be returned to his home at Stone Circle. Well, I have a magic of 8 on the alchemist, so I do understand that. If I lose the soothsayer's head, put it in the loot discard pile. Fantastic. Well, he wants to go to the Stone Circle. So perhaps I should go to the dang stone circle. And just so we all can see this, here's what the fly-ass soothsayer's head looks like. Look at that. He's got a little, looks like an iron cross on his skull. His head sort of wrapped in like a little babushka hood. It's like maybe it's the head of the babushka lady from the JFK assassination. If you want to get down the JFK conspiracy theory road, maybe this is what the real conspirators did to the babushka lady, cut her head off, threw her into the war strike. I mean, they didn't. That didn't happen. But, yeah, you know, who knows? Maybe in this world. So, the Soothsayer's head is going to go into the inventory of the mercenary alchemists. This little token can go back into the box, or into this third. So just to, I also to give you guys an idea of like the amount of tokens in this game, I just kind of want to, I've mentioned it a couple times, but it's got 3 of these things filled with tokens. Many of them are similar, but for the most part, each block, like with some exception, but each block tends to have different stuff. And then there's another one where all the tokens are discrete tokens. It's a whole lot. Yeah, it's a whole lot, guys. There's a lot of stuff in this game, piecewise. Again, usually something that would turn me off of a game, but in this case, I'm kind of into it. All right. So we rested, we explored, we're cool with all that. We got the Soothsayer's head, and it wants to go to the Stone Circle, which is way over here. So let me think here. What's the best way there? I've not played this mission before. So I could cross the East Bridge and go through Witch Hill, but there is a patrol there that's trying to do me dirty. So that is not great, and there's a plague here. I probably don't want to go through Witch Hill. I could travel. Throw that over there. That's the other mission card that I don't need anymore. I could travel down here to the fishmonger camp. Take this road. And then you can hop a boat across the way. I could also ignore the Soothsayer's head request and just go right to Pigskin Port. I'd have to go around. I could go from here, I guess. Or, and perhaps this will be the move, is I can go to the East Bridge. And the East Bridge has a river ride that will take me either up the river to Pigskin Port or down the river to Dusk Falls or the Fishmonger camp. And so if I do want to take him to the Stone Circle, I could take that river, hop off here, and then go through the Black Tree up to the Stone Circle. Maybe that'll be the move. Maybe I'll listen to the Soothsayer. I mean, look, the Sickly Soldier has no idea what the heck that thing is saying, but the Mercenary Alchemist swears through his magical incantations that he's probably performed, is dripping his alchemical solutions onto the Soothsayer's head, or drinking some potion of tongues to understand what's speaking. He's saying the Soothsayer's head wants to go to the Stone Circle. And hey, who am I to say no to magic? So let's go to the Stone Circle. Let's go to the East Bridge, pay for the river transport, which is going to cost us 4 gold. The Mercenary Alchemist is rich as hell. Travel down to Dusk Falls, walk on over to the Black Tree, traverse the path up to the Stone Circle, rest there, and that will conclude this mission if we can do all that successfully. Let me take a drink of the soda. If you guys, by the way, are enjoying this, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and consider a donation. Go to phasingplayer.com/donate. There's a little image right there while I'm taking a sip of this soda pop. So, okay. I'm feeling good about this. There's a bit of a hike ahead of me, but I think I can make it. We're all at full health. Everyone's full health, looking cool. Wrong. Hey guys, what's up? I clicked the wrong little thing in OBS here, but I'm back now. Miss you, Ben. So let's go ahead and travel. So, or not travel. Let's do a danger card. Do a danger card every single time. Can't skip that. So we got this one right here. What does it say? Filthy vermin and worse infest the back streets and sewers of the cult-ridden, decaying fortress city of Brutalberg. So it's got this noose if we're in a law space, which we are, and it's got this 1. So I gotta double check. The 1 means The one is not great. It means that we are going to almost certainly encounter. Excuse me, I'm drinking all the soda, burping. And we're certainly going to have another encounter. I should have actually maybe switched to cautious stance. Let's retroactively say I switched to cautious stance. This is actually not good for the sickly soldier to be moving so quickly, because he can get fatigued, and it's hard to recover. So I'm gonna say let me look at the rules here for going into a law space. Let's see. So when I'm in there and it's on that card, drawing a danger card. If you're in a law space and draw a danger card with a law icon, first compare the card to the bounty level, which is currently 3. If the danger card's value is equal to or less than the bounty level, draw monsters from the law deck. If not, treat the danger card as normal. Okay, so if my danger level is lower than or equal to 3, which it is, I gotta draw from the bad deck, the law deck. So we'll go ahead and draw a monster from there, I guess, when we have to, because we're not going to be able to skip this. So, well, actually, sorry, we can skip it because I switched to ice. Right, if I'm switching to cautious, so okay, sorry to backtrack. If I'm in cautious stance, I can make I believe it is a perception check to stealth through an area, and that will allow me to raise the level of this card to a 2, from 1 to 2, which then makes it higher than the danger level of the region, which means I will not have to draw monsters out. So let me make sure it's a perception check. Let's see, increase the danger level if you're in stealth. Okay, make a perception check. Every party member makes a perception check, and if they all succeed, I can raise this by 1. So I'd raise this to 2, which means I would not have to deal with the law or anything around me. So I'm going to go ahead and make that perception check on both characters. So sickly soldier is going to be these green ones, and I succeeded. It's lower than my perception of 7. And the mercenary alchemist also has a perception of 7, and he did succeed. It's equal to or less than, and you're good. So I stealthed my way through the area, raised this from 1 to 2. The danger of the region is 1, and so I do not have to have an encounter, which is great. So I will discard this. And that is the difference between a cautious stance and a bold stance. A cautious stance allows you to make those kind of stealth checks, whereas a bold stance allows you to move more quickly through the region. Okay, so staying in the cautious stance then, let's switch up to the map. I'm going to stay cautious, and I'm going to move onto this road. So I'm not yet at the East Bridge, I'm on the road. And that's going to have us draw I don't need a rest, I'm looking good. So I'm going to go ahead and draw another card, which is, you glance over your shoulder, certain that you're being followed through your current space. So that raises the danger level of my current space from 1 to 2. And then, if the area is explored, which I actually should have put, one of these explored markers on my previous space at the crossroads, because I explored it. So if my space is not explored, you check against a danger level of 3. If it is explored, you check against a 4. I'm checking against the 3 because this road I'm on is not explored. The 3 is higher than the field's danger of 2, so I will not have an encounter once again. And in the area I'm in here, with this low danger level, is a pretty good chance I'm not going to have encounters, which is great. So skip the encounter phase and move to the East Bridge, staying in the cautious stance. I'll have to switch to bold stance next turn in order to travel through the river. And you can switch stances at the start of any turn. So I'm moving there, and I'm drawing another danger card. And this is, like, when the game is moving, this is how it moves. You move somewhere, draw a danger card, check it. Move somewhere, draw a danger card, check it. That's kind of doing that on repeat. Okay. The mythical energies of the void flow and herald an approach of malevolent invaders from beyond Earth space, each space with a void gate. Do not advance the doom this round. Well, there are no void gates on the map, so we're not going to raise the danger level of the places with the void gates. If there is no void gate where I'm at, I'm checking against a 3. There is no void gate, and so once again, 3 is higher than 2, not having an encounter. And now I'm going to switch back to the bold stance. That is not an action. You just decide if you're bold or cautious at the start of every movement phase. So in this bold stance now, I am going to go ahead and take the lake port or the river port travel action. Cost me 2 gold per adventurer. So from 10 to 8 and from 7 to 5. And we now can travel. That's the boat. Down to Dusk Falls. And now that we're in Dusk Falls, we will take a danger card, which is troops of gibbering weirds join the bandits whose outposts riddle the wind-blasted peaks of Slaver's Pass. So, Slaver's Pass, it's a yellow card, so it's in the Highlands, which is coded, in yellow. And so we're going to raise that from a 4 to a 5. I'm curious, how many people watching right now have played this game? I'm interested to know. I don't really know how much reach this game has. It sounded like a few people here had played it before, but I don't know. I don't know what the yes to no is going to be. So we ignore the hand right here with the Slaver's Pass because the Hand of Doom is not on the game board yet. And then this is not a law space, so we will not draw law monsters. And we're going to check the 4 of Dusk Falls against the level of Tomb Lake, which is 3. So 4 versus 3, hey, no encounter again because the card is higher than the space. And then let's go ahead and switch to the cautious stance because now we're going along a path. And on a path, you cannot travel quickly across it. There's a differentiator between a path and a road in this game. A road is basically explored and paved. A path is unexplored and unpaved. And so they're color-coded. It is probably going to be hard to see from up where you guys are looking from up here. But each road has a color in the middle and then a border on it. If the border is purple, it is a road, and you can travel around it freely. Like you can take the forced march to quickly travel past it. If it is bordered in the color of the region, it is a path, and you cannot quickly travel across it unless you explore it. So I'm staying cautious, and I'm going to foot travel down to this road near the black tree. And then we're drawing a danger card. Hulking, inhuman shapes are spotted shambling across the shore of Tower Island. Tower Island is green. It is actually very close to me right now. So we're going to raise that from a 4 to a 5. There are all these double-sided tokens, by the way, is how I'm adjusting these levels. And that 2 is lower than Tomb Lake, and even if we raised it, we would only equal it, which means we are going to have an encounter. If we look at the bottom here, again, if there is not a little purple square here with a book on it, you don't draw an encounter card. So we're only going to fight monsters, and we're going to fight just one. One monster at our space. At the wetlands, it is going to be a slime blob. So the slime blob will give 1 experience and 1 gold. It is a filth and an ooze. It'll attack the person with the lowest agility, which is going to be, it's tied, so I'll choose. It'll do 3 damage, it has 5 HP, and it's got the slime ability. Let's see what the slime ability does. Slime, when you receive 1 or more wounds from this monster, you become slimed until the end of the fight. And the slimed token is going to be a debuff. So I'll have to find that in here. Here it is. It's a -1 agility if you're slimed. Okay, let's have it attack the sickly soldier. Because again, if he has wounds and is the only one with wounds at the end of a fight, he gets luck. If he succeeds in a constitution check. So let's go ahead and fight him. He is going to be able to use his trench spike with his polearm discipline, so he'll get to attack this guy before he gets to fight back. So I'm not even going to worry about a defensive roll right now, and I'm going to stay in the... I'll switch to assault stance for this attack. Oh well, you know what? Actually, I still do need to roll the dice because he's gonna deal damage after me. So it's still the same attack action, but we will put him in. He deals 3 damage. We're gonna put him in assault stance because I do want to kill him pretty quick. So 3 and 3. That is lower than my 8 strength. I hit, and I'll hit him for 6 damage because of my assault stance. He has 5 HP, and that'll kill him straight away. No problem. It's 1 experience to the sickly soldier and 1 gold. Recover some of that gold that he lost on that river port. And then I'm gonna go ahead and roll this purple die for loot. I need a 1, and I did not get it. All right, back to the movement phase. Let's go ahead and switch these up. Okay, I'm just gonna walk up to the black tree. No problem, easy peasy. At the black tree, let's draw a danger card. See what happens. Oh, and actually, killing that monster lowers the danger too of this region. Tomb Lake goes down to a 2. All right, killing the black tree. Or killing the black. I'm not killing the black tree. I'm drawing a danger card. Wetlands Outbreak. That's bad. Roll a d6 and put a plague counter at number 1 is Fishmonger Camp. Fishmonger Camp. That's actually on the other side of the lake, so that's not that bad. And then, if this one has a couple other things, so if we're in the bold stance, we're checking against a 3. If we're in the cautious stance, we're checking against a 4. We are in the cautious stance still. A lot of alliteration in this game too. So it's 4 against our area of 5. So this is lower because the black tree is a 5 danger level. So here we go. It is time to have another encounter. Because even if we raised it, it would equal it. And it's got to exceed, the card value has to exceed the danger value in order to avoid an encounter. So we could equal it. We could not, however, do any more. So actually, why did I put that away? It is 3 monsters in this space. No encounter card, 3 monsters. 2, 3. Okay, so we have, let's put this over here. We've got a Slitherfish. Pretty standard monster. It has armor though. It has 2 armor, so it can deal some damage, or it can take some damage rather. We've got a Mold Mummy. I actually started playing Blood Bowl recently for the first time. I played my first Blood Bowl game this week, and I started a league with my buddies. I'm playing as the undead, and I named one of my mummies the Mold Mummy. So this guy, he'll do that curse thing. He has decent attack of 4, and he's got 8 health. He also has Infect and Necro. So I'm gonna have to look those up. I think Necro, I think I remember reading about Necro, like steals experience or something. And then we have a big boy. We've got the Mold Beast. I know he's a big boy because there's a miniature for him that I don't have, but they made a miniature for him. So he has Ambush and Gas. He has 12 HP, and he hits for 5 damage. And he explodes, apparently. So this guy's going to be tough. Let's go ahead and deal with those, the arrival actions right now. So first, Ambush. Each adventurer in the monster space must make a perception test. Each adventurer who fails becomes stunned for a round until the end of their first turn. So, and then the other one is Curse, which we know. So that's the magic test. And then Gas. Oh, so what is that little... Oh, it's only in a... it's only going to be in a specific spot. Let me see. It says Ambush with a little fungus after it. So that means I think he will only ambush people with that fungus symbol. Let me double check that. Or is it, but I mean, he always has that printed, so I don't know why that would be there. Well, let me take a second here and look up what that little symbol next to him, that fungus symbol, means for this instance. If anyone knows, feel free to chime in. Arrival abilities. Bum, 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 bum. Defeat and death. Monsters. Arrival abilities. What the heck is that little fungus symbol going to mean? If it's followed by a map trait icon, the ability is only used in a space with that matching icon. Okay, that checks out. So what out there has fungus on it? I guess if you've put something down. So okay, so I guess they won't ambush because there's no mushrooms growing over here. I actually don't see them anywhere on the map at quick glance. Anywhere where I would expect fungus to be growing anyway. But that's what it says, so I guess that's cool. So he will not ambush me. But he will do that gas ability. So gas, each adventurer makes a contest. If you fail, you're poisoned. So let's do that. So Sickly Soldier makes a contest of 6 or else he gets poisoned. He failed. Now I could re-roll this. And on a 1, 2, or 3, I'm good. Because poisoned might be no fun. Yeah, poisoned is -1 con, and he's already got low con. But he'll lose it at the end of the round. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to let him take that poison, and it lasts, or the gas. So he becomes poisoned until he rests. It's on the expansion info. Okay. I don't see. You say that thing is on the fungus is on the expansion info. I'm looking in the expansion rules right now. I see stuff about plagues and outbreaks. But for new arrival abilities, I'm seeing flash. But I don't spot anything about that. So if I can go back at some point and fix it, or if it comes up in a minute, I'll deal with it. But for the time being, just to move on, I'm gonna. Yeah, for the time being, I'm just gonna move on from those. Maybe, or do you mean the expansion info like in an expansion mission? It says to put like fungus tokens down somewhere, which is possible. I think those. Yeah, I can see them. They exist. Anyway, so. That's for Constitution against the gas on Sickly Soldier. Let's do the same on Mercenary Alchemist. He's rolling against a 7, and he succeeds, so no gas for him. PU. But let's do the Curse. So Magic Test against... I guess we have to see who they're attacking, who they're engaging with. So lowest perception. I guess I roll over. So Mold Beast can attack Sickly Soldier. And then the Mold Mummy... The Mold Mummy's Curse... the monster's target. So the monster's target for the Mold Mummy is going to be the highest morale, which is going to be the Sickly Soldier. So actually, let's put the Mold Beast. Maybe put him on the Mercenary Alchemist, just because he has a little more health. Okay, so we'll split those up. And then the Slitherfish as well, who's going to attack most con. So we'll put both of these on the Mercenary Alchemist. And we'll put... The Mold Mummy is going to be attacking the Sickly Soldier. All right. Let's go ahead then and do the Curse against the Sickly Soldier. So that's against Magic, which is only a 5 for him. He's almost definitely going to fail this. So he definitely failed that. So he becomes Cursed. And he loses a luck. Not even going to try to re-roll it. I don't think it's worth it. And he becomes demoralized. I, too, would be demoralized if I were cursed. Where is demoralized? Is it here? No. Suppressed. Demoralized. There we go. Finding these tokens can be a little hard sometimes. Okay. So let's go ahead then and fight. We can have the Sickly Soldier go first, try to kill this mummy. They have Infect and Necro. Infect, when you receive 1 or more wounds, you become infected. And then Necro, if they're in a mold spot, which they're not. And then Necro. Each time you receive 1 or more wounds, lose an experience. Yeah, that's tough. That's fine. Let's attack. Let's stab him, and we get to stab before he resolves his damage. So if we can kill him, which we can't, he has 8 health, but... You know, we'll I guess try to do damage. So I'm switching to guard stance for this fight down here. And that's going to succeed. So we will take 3 less damage off of the 4 that he's going to deal in a moment. And then we will miss on our attack. That 10 is not low enough. So we deal no damage, but we take 4 minus 3 is 1. Not bad. And now the Mercenary Alchemist gets to go. And so he's got Explode and Slime. And the Slitherfish has Abuse, Slimed. So let's see. Abuse, when this monster attacks the target with the indicated status condition, it has +1 attack. So if this guy became slimed, he would take more damage. But he doesn't. Or class, so slimed, he doesn't have the slimed class. All right, and then this Explode, so he could slime him, which could be rough. So if he takes damage, he might get slimed. And then there's Explode. Explode is going to be, when this monster is destroyed, it inflicts 1 piercing damage, which ignores armor, on each adventurer and each monster in its space. If a number is indicated, the monster inflicts that amount of wounds. So he'll explode and deal 1 damage to everyone in its space. Each adventurer and each monster, so killing him early would actually do damage to them as well. Cool, well, let's, and then slime is if you get hit. Yeah, he's slimed. If you take 1 or more wounds from the monster, you're slimed. Okay, well, let's have the Mercenary Alchemist target. Let's target this dude. What is he called? Slitherfish. Let's target Slitherfish because that abuse could hurt. I have a feeling he's gonna hurt this dude, but I want to get rid of that dude first because that abuse could hurt. He has 2 armor, which means he's gonna take 2 less damage, but my pistol ignores an armor. So we're gonna be guarded. And we're going to roll. So 5 and the 2 is 7. That is good for agility. And I will take 5 less damage from each of them. So they won't hurt me at all this round. And then I will roll 5, 6, 7, 8 against my perception, which is not good enough. I do not hit them. And let's go ahead. Back to the Sickly Soldier. Same deal. Guarded stance, stabbing with the trench spike. 5 and 2 is 7. That succeeds in defending, which is going to take 6 damage off, so no damage yet for the Sickly Soldier. 5 and 2 is also 7, which is good for strength, and it will deal 5 damage to this fella, which kills. Goodbye, Mold Mummy. Only has, oh no, it does not kill. I was looking at the wrong stat. It has 8 HP. So 3, 4, 5. Almost dead. Hopefully next round. Okay, and then Mercenary Alchemists is going to go ahead and attack. Hope you guys are enjoying the close-up of my wrist here every time I reach over into there. All right, we're still attacking the thing underneath. 6 and 3 is not good enough, but the 6 will negate the damage. And then 4, 5, 6, 7 is enough for the pistol to hit, and it will hit for 4 damage, minus 2 from the armor, but ignores 1 armor, so it'll hit for 3 damage. Which is enough to kill it. It only has 3 HP. So, Slitherfish, dead. And then back to the Sickly Soldier. Same deal, guarded, attacking. 1 and 1, defends, don't take any damage. Or actually, that's not true. I will take 3 damage. That's actually not great. I'll take it though. No, because if it does wounds to me like that, it's gonna steal experience. That's fine. I'll take 1 experience loss, and I will take my 3 damage. 1, 2, 3, and then I do not hit it back, and it doesn't infect me because we're not in a fungus space. All right, Mold Beast and Mercenary Alchemist. Same deal. Guarded stance, taking an attack. I defend successfully, take 4 less damage. It deals 5 though total, so I will take 1 damage, and then I believe I get slimed. Yes, I am slimed. -1 agility, and then I rolled a 2 for hit, which does hit, and it will deal a single point of damage to this guy. He has a lot of HP, so it's going to be a bit of a slog to kill him. And then we move back. Keep doing this. All right. Sickly Soldier. Try to finish off this little boy underneath. The 10 does not defend, but I'll take 2 less damage, so he deals 2 to me. 1, 2. I hit him for 3 damage, which is enough to kill. 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, that is enough to kill. 3 damage. Finishes off the mold mummy. He hits me, though, takes another one of my experience points away. And he's worth 2 experience, so he's just going to give him right back to me. Kind of a wash, but I wish I gained something. And then this guy's going to back off. Mercenary Alchemist. Let's start to deal damage to this mold beast. And now that the Sickly Soldier is not involved in combat, he can switch to the assault stance and really deal some good damage. That's going to be the soldier, though, not the Mercenary Alchemist, who successfully defends, takes 4 less damage, so he takes 1 from this guy. He's already slimed. And he hits for 2 more damage. So we can just flip this to the 3. All right, and now the Sickly Soldier is going to switch to the assault stance and really try to beat this guy down. All right, so I actually didn't even need to roll these. That doesn't do anything. So 6, 7, 8 is good enough for my strength of 8, and I will deal 6 damage to him. So 6 and 3 is 9. 3, 6, 9. This guy's 12 HP, though. He's got 12 health. He's tough. Mercenary Alchemist, time for you to attack. If you can deal 3 more damage, you'll kill him. Staying in the guard stance. 6 and 1 is 7, but I only have 6 agility because I'm slimed. So I take 2 less damage, so I take 3. 1, 2, 3. 6 and 1 is 7, which is good enough for my perception. And it hits for 6 damage, which is enough to kill this guy. So this guy gets shot and explodes. So for explosion, like I mentioned before, you deal piercing damage to every adventurer and every monster. So everyone takes 1 extra damage. Bing, bing. And he is killed. Oof, that got dicey for a second. I was starting to worry when that thing had such high HP and there were so many monsters out, but we're okay. So it is going to be 3 experience to the Mercenary Alchemist. 1, 2, 3. Plus 3 gold. 1, 2, 3. He is a wealthy, wealthy individual. And he's going to get to roll against a 3 for loot. So if I get a 1, a 2, or a 3, I will find some cool loot. And I got a 3. So I will draw the loot card, and I get a Spiked Maul. You need to have 7 strength to use it, which he doesn't have, but maybe he'll give it to his buddy. Okay, so he's carrying that. And these get discarded. And then it is 2 experience back for the Sickly Soldier and no gold. He gets to roll against a 2, so a 1 or a 2. He gets a loot. He got a 3, so no loot for him. Okay, that is that phase. Now we can go from the black tree. Do we want to rest? We're actually pretty hurt. I think we're going to rest. Let's rest here by the black tree. I know it's kind of dangerous because the danger level is so high here. It's a 5. But the Sickly Soldier's almost dead. Actually, the Mercenary Alchemist is also pretty darn hurt. So yeah, let's rest. We'll get rid of our status conditions too then. So first thing we do is roll. Let's have the Sickly Soldier sleep under this evil Deku tree. And he needs to roll a con test, or a morale test. He has 8 morale. And he got a 12. So he fails, but still heals a little bit. He'll heal 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And succeeds. Actually, no, do not remove fatigue. Never mind. So he does succeed. But he becomes infected because of his trench rot. So he's not poisoned anymore, which is cool. But he is infected, which is no wound recovery. So he's going forward now. Next time he rests, he's not going to recover wounds. He will get rid of this, but not recover wounds. And now he is going to... He could improve. He's at 9. I mean, he could pick up, like, Ferocious Charge. He needs 8 strength, which he has. Let's do it. Let's spend our experience points. Let's spend all of our experience, and we're going to pick up a new skill, Ferocious Charge. So in combat, you also get a quick action, which I've not been using because I haven't needed to, like, equip or unequip items right now. But now that he has the Sickly Soldier is going to have Ferocious Charge. As a quick action in the assault stance, if it's the first turn entering combat, he can roll an additional power die when using a strength attack. So it gets a better chance of dealing some good damage. All right, and then we are gonna have the Mercenary Alchemist do some cool guy stuff. Actually, sorry, I went from 10 to, it would have been 1, 2, no, it would have been 9 to 1, not 9 to 0. And then the Mercenary Alchemist is going to also rest. Roll 2 dice. Oh, I'll roll this one again. Honk honk. So he got an 11. He also failed, but he will also heal 4 health. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then remove slimed and demoralized. Which is good. It's good not to be slimed. Or demoralized for that matter. They go in there, and slime goes in there. And he also has 9 experience. So actually, maybe he could graduate, find weakness, which makes it so. What does that do exactly? +1 damage. Return this card to your hand at the end of the fight. Trying to remember what the difference between these two were. So make a perception test. If you pass, attach it to a monster. Make a perception test. It has to be attached to a monster. +1 damage. +1 damage. Return this card to your hand at the end of the fight, or at the end of the combat round if the attached monster is removed from the fight. Return this card to your hand at the end of the fight, or at the end of the combat round if the attached monster is removed from the fight. Don't know that I see the difference here. Yeah, I'm not actually sure that I see the difference. So I feel like I'm missing something here. Oh, I see. It makes it a quick action instead of a combat action. Yeah, I'm definitely spending 8 experience on that. It would be nice. It'd be nice if on these skill versus mastery cards there was like something like indicating the change in wording a little more clearly, because I feel like it can be hard to notice that. Like it's a bunch of text and 99% of it's the same sometimes. But anyway, so he's upgrading his find weakness. So that he can do what I tried to cheat and do earlier, where he quick actioned to find a weakness and attacked in the same round. Now he can do that. All right, so that is all they're going to do here. So it's now danger time. Broken fishnets, missing children, and estranged webbed prints in the mud. Panic the remote community at Gutfish Ford. So that's also kind of near where I'm at. Gutfish Ford is actually, it's the same region, I guess, but not that close. So that raises the level from Gutfish Ford from a 2 town to, it makes it a 1 green instead. And then we're at a 5. This is a 3. So we're going to have an encounter. And it's going to be 3 more monsters. Man, there are a lot of monsters around here to fight. This has been tough. The wetlands is a tough spot. But I'm 2 steps away from being able to complete the mission. So that's good. All right, so we've got the Crab Soldier. I'm going to kind of reorganize this area just a little bit. So we've got a Crab Soldier, a Scroglin Soldier, and a Scrogling Swarm. None of them have arrival attacks. So here we go. We got, the Scrogling Swarm. It's this guy. He's got good HP. He's got good attack, and he's got Drain and Slime. Got this Scrogling Soldier, 4 attack, 4 armor, 4 health, 1 armor. And he's the Horde ability. You'll have to see that. And we've got the Crab Soldier, 5 attack, 3 armor. That's pretty good. So, okay. These guys right here are going to do some business. This guy is lowest agility, and so is this guy. They're tied in agility right now, so we'll have to figure out where we want those guys to go. And this one is highest strength. Highest strength is definitely the Sickly Soldier. So Sickly Soldier can hang out here with his highest strength. Let's see. Why don't we do the Scrogling Swarm also on the Sickly Soldier? And then we can do the Crab Soldier on the Mercenary Alchemist. So we'll do it like that. Next time I set this up, I'm going to have to make sure I have a better camera position for the combat here. Maybe scoot this somewhere else, move that back or something, which actually I could do right now. I have it taped down, but I can scoot her back to there. There we go. A little breathing room here. And we can line these up like that and like that. There we go. It's a little better. Okay, great. Let me take a sip of soda here for some inspiration. Okay, let's go ahead and deal with the sickly soldier first. So because he's fighting multiple guys, they will both be doing damage to him, which is pretty dangerous. All right, he's gonna stay in the guard stance for right now. So he's not using his new ferocious charge, but he's gonna be in the guard stance and he's gonna target. Let me see what these do. So drain, we know what slime does. Puts the slime effect on. And then we've got the drain ability. At the end of each combat round, the monster recovers a wound if it inflicted a wound. Okay, so it's stealing health. And then pain, or let's see, horde. Horde fishoid. The monster has +1 attack while there is one or more monsters with the indicated class in its space. These are all fishoids. So he's actually going to be doing 5 damage, which is not great. And then the crab soldier. And yes, M. Alexander, I'm going to be trying to get that crab soldier. The crab soldier has pain. Pain is when you receive one or more wounds from this monster, you make a contest. If you fail, you become stunned till the end of the next turn. If you become poisoned due to wounds taken from the monster with venom, do any of these have venom? No, no one has venom. So you'll make a contest or become stunned. Or a constitution test. Well, we want to kill this horde guy because he's going to be able to do a lot of damage. So let's attack the horde dude. Sickly soldier is going to stay in his guard stance and go ahead and make that attack. So 5 and 4 is 9. That is not good enough to defend, so we'll take 3 less damage. They both hit me. So I take 3 less from each. So 5 minus 3 is 2, 4 minus 3 is 1. That is a total of 3 damage. 1, 2, 3 damage. And then my 6 and my 2 is 8, which is good enough on my strength to deal damage to this fella here. I will deal 6 damage plus 1 because it's the first round of combat with my trench spike. So that's 7 damage minus his 1. Still easily enough to kill the Scroglin soldier. And I've taken wounds. So again, I have to keep track. If my mercenary alchemist does not take wounds, then he'll get luck potentially. Oh, MJ, yeah, we've chatted on Discord. Cool, man. I'm glad. I'm happy to see you here. Cool. So then we've got that combat is done. Drain. He does hit, so he does drain a health, which means he heals up to full. But he's already at full. And this guy does get slimed. So let's throw slimed on the sickly soldier. Crab soldier. Let's go ahead and have him fight the mercenary alchemist. So that is going to be shooting from the guard stance. I successfully defend for 5 damage less, which is how much he deals, so no problem. And I hit on a 7, which is my perception, that hits. And so I hit for 6 damage, ignoring an armor. So he'll take 2 less instead of 3 less, taking a total then of 4 damage. 3, 4, and he's almost dead, so that's good. All right, sickly soldier against this scroggling swarm. Same deal. Guarded stance, trench spike. There's a lot of them. I guess I'm just like sweeping them with the trench spike or something. All right, that is going to be good defense. Take 3 less. They do 5, so I will take 5 minus 3 is 2. 1, 2. I'm still pretty hurt, and I hit for 3 damage. 1, 2, 3 on that guy. Great. So starting next round, if he hits me, he can start to drain some of that back. I'm already slimed, so. Over here then, same deal. Guard, pistol. I guard for -3, so he deals 2 to me. 1, 2. I hit from the orange dice. It's a 5 against my perception of 7. And I hit 4 damage, which is enough to kill him. He's going to take 2 less, but he's only got 1 health left. So he is 1 dead crab soldier. And he hit me. What is pain again? Because he did hit me for some damage. So pain is when you receive 1 or more wounds, make a con test. So let's make a constitution test against a 7 constitution, and I'm fine. All right, great. So this guy's going to hang back now. I can attach some weaknesses to that dude, though. Actually, I'll do that. Quick action. Quick action weakness. Make a constitution or a perception test. Succeed. I will attach this weakness to this dude. Right there. I found his weakness. It is the fact that they are weak little swarm guys. You can just step on them, and they get squished. Take that knowledge, sickly soldier, into the future. And step on them, but with your trench spike. Okay, so successfully defend. That is for -3 damage. They do 5, so I'm taking 2 more. God, I have 2 health left, by the way, on the sickly soldier. He's very hurt. And then I hit for 4 damage, plus 1 from this, so that's 5 damage. 5 plus 3 is 8. That kills him. Dead. Okay. Well, that's... I feel like I'm gonna get stuck here because my sickly soldier is so hurt. I don't want to just stay at the black tree trying to heal over and over again, but I'm worried if I travel over to here, he's gonna get killed. So we'll have to see what happens here. All right. So that is 3 experience for the soldier. 1, 2, 3, plus 4 gold. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I get to roll 3 experience values. So 1, 2, or 3, I get loot. I got a 3. That hooks me up with some loot, which is a spirit guide. You may explore in any map stance, and you may use magic in place of perception. That's right. You have to be a bold stance to explore. But if you roll 12, discard this card. If you're the bog conjurer, which I'm not, so I can explore in any stance, and I can use magic instead of perception. Okay, well, I'll hang on to that. Might sell it, though. So these get discarded. And then this guy gets 2 experience, 1, 2, and 2 more gold, 1, 2, and loot on a 1 or a 2, which he got a 2. Hey, loot for the mercenary alchemist. The pickle blaster. Okay, so this is the goblin. Town only, though. We're not in a town right now. So there are monsters in the loot stack. So sometimes you can fight them if you're in a town trying to buy stuff. But I'm not in a town, so we're just going to discard this. And draw again, which is a bone totem. When you destroy a demon, you may place it under this item unless there's already a card there. As a combat action, discard a demon from under this item and make a magic test. If you pass, target Puritan, Witch, or Wizard with experience value 3 or less becomes hexed. And hex is a debuff. Okay, cool. Well, he has that. Maybe he'll try to sell it or something. I don't know if he's going to use it. Great. Crab Soldier goes away. Okay, this is becoming a slog here for the sickly soldier because he's so hurt. I have to rest again, honestly. I have to rest again, or else this guy's going to die, I'm afraid. He has 2 hits and he's dead. I have this Scrag's Milk, but that doesn't help with healing. Okay, well, why don't we rest again? Have a sickly soldier try to heal. Oh, he doesn't get wound recovery because he's infected. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, well, he's going to rest and get rid of these 2 things. I'm going to probably rest 2 turns in a row then. Stick this infected over there. And -1 agility slimed. And he's just going to stay, I guess. Yeah, he's just going to hang out. I guess I killed monsters, so that does lower the level of this to a 4. All right, and this guy's he's gonna heal up as well. He only has 4 wounds, so there's actually no sense in him checking because even if he fails, he still heals to full. So he has no negatives for checking. So I'm just gonna do that, and that's it for the rest action. So let's see. We've got the air feels thick and your hair stands on end. Some devilry is afoot. No, does not increase the danger level anywhere. We check the 5 against the region. It is higher, so we will not have an encounter. And then it says reshuffle the danger deck. So I'm going to do that right now. I might have missed this. Is the plague a timely touch? What do you mean by that, MJ? Timely touch. All right, reshuffling the danger deck. Yes, you remove all status conditions, but that happens at the end of the turn. So I lost infected, but I didn't heal anything. So I'm going to have to rest again just to heal, which is what I rested ideally to heal up the sickly soldier because he is so beat up. Cool. Let's rest again, I guess. Oh, yes. It just happened to come up. Yeah, it just it was one of the first things that came into play here. So yes, very timely, very thematic in this already thematic game. Okay, let's rest again because I gotta heal. So taking a rest action, recover. I rolled 6, 7, 8, 9. I gotta spend luck to re-roll because I need to heal more than half. Cool. So that succeeds against my morale. I will heal 8. So that puts me at 2 wounds. That's much better. I also, if I fail, I become infected again. So don't want that. Okay, and then he's not going to do anything else. This guy doesn't. I mean, I'll make a recovery roll, but he's at full health anyway. So draw a danger card. We've got heretical cults meet in secret to conduct blasphemous rites against the moss-covered branches of the Witchwood. And the Witchwood is right up here. So that graduates up to a 5. And it's a 4 value, which is equal to here. I'm still in my cautious stance. So I am going to attempt to increase this to a 5 so I don't have to deal with more monsters. I'm getting beat up badly here. So let's go ahead and roll these a perception test with the sickly soldier. Need a 7+, or 7 or lower. I got a 6. He passes. Same with, I need a 7 or lower as well on the mercenary elk. He got an 8. I'm going to use luck to reroll this. Succeed. Lower my luck to 2. Fantastic. So what I did there is I stealthed to raise this from a 4 to a 5. My danger level in the region is a 4. So by making this higher, I do not have to have an encounter phase. And I got to get moving before I get hurt again. So we're good to go here. It is next turn. We are going to stay cautious and progress to the road right here. Draw a danger card. Vile half-human things worship and give sacrifice below the ancient twisted branches of the Black Tree, which is where I just was. If I am not in a forest, it's a danger level 4. Otherwise, it's a danger level 3. I am not in a forest, incidentally, and we check the danger level of the Tomb Lake, which is 2. So no encounter again needed, thankfully. But I have to raise the Black Tree level to 5. And then let's go ahead and take our last step into the Rotting Swamp. Or sorry, the Stone Circle. So I'm up in the Stone Circle now, which is where clue number 3 is. So next turn I'm going to rest here and try to explore. And if I do that, I will find that thing, and that is one spot where the mission can end. But first I need to draw a danger card. So we're on the precipice of hopefully victory. The people of the swamp live in fear of the fishoid freaks who make their lair in the Sunken Village, which is a 3 value. The Stone Circle has a 2 danger. So once again, lucky, no encounter needed. But this does graduate to a 5. Sunken Village goes up. Great. So now I can rest. Now I switch to bold stance so that I can explore. And I'm going to rest here. So that allows me to recover again. Sickly Soldier will make his check. I got a 5. That succeeds. I recover all the way. Mercenary Alchemist doesn't need to do that because he's no negatives for making the recovery check like the Sickly Soldier, and he's at full health. And then I'm going to explore. So Sickly Soldier is going to explore with a perception of 7. So if I do that, I will successfully check this clue out. And I did. Look at that. Beautiful. All right, Soothsayer's Head. I brought you to your stone circle, you idiot, so tell me what's going on. All right, stone circle. Surely the warlocks of the circle would offer a decent price for the Soothsayer's Head. If not, at least you'll be safe from the law out there in the middle of the swamp. That is what it says about there. If I delivered it. Okay, mission path. Because that is, I completed an objective here. All right, let's switch up to my beautiful mug. Hey guys, been a while since I've seen you. So I'm checking in the book here. The objective said I will complete the mission when the adventurers rest together at a party at clue 1, 2, or 3. I just rested at clue 3, the stone circle. So now I have to read this little kind of ending text. We actually made it there in a pretty good shape too. We're at full health. We have some items. We've got new skills. Feeling good. Okay, so stone circle. The Soothsayer's Head thanks you for your efforts and whispers secrets about a wondrous palace temple hidden deep in the mountains of the mouth. Do you follow the dubious directions of this delirious dead man? Continue on to Visions at the Peak, or choose to ignore the rotting fool and establish a base here on the swamp. So there are a handful of different options, and I read that one because I have the head with me and I'm at the stone circle. If I was not at the stone circle, or if I did not get the head, then I move on to this run and hide section. Essentially, I told the jailer I was going to do what he said, and then I just left. But in this case, I have it. So that's what it said. My two options are to follow what the Soothsayer's Head instructs, in which case I switch to page 4 and do the mission Visions at the Peak. Or I say, who cares? You're just ahead. And I establish a base. I establish a base of operations of my own here at the stone circle. Let me think here. So, I mean, I feel like it makes sense to keep doing what the Soothsayer's Head said. Look, the reality is I dug up this head, listened to what it had to say through some magical or alchemical incantation or cure, and traveled all the way across. I mean, look how far we traveled. We went from Brutalberg in prison, was broken out of prison, went to the crossroads, traveled to the East Bridge, took a boat all the way down here, went to Dusk Falls, got hung up at the Black Tree for a while. I don't know the scale of this game. I don't know how long a turn is, but it felt like a long time fighting a bunch of monsters here. And then traveled up to the Stone Circle. Why would I could have just gone up to Pigskin Port or to the Gutfish Ford. Why did I travel all this way if I wasn't going to do what the Soothsayer's Head ultimately was telling me? Why would I listen to it? Why would I follow its guide 99% of the way and then turn my back on it at the very end? It hasn't done anything to me that makes me feel as though I should stop listening to it. And it says also as an item, I can pay it luck to look at the value of any clue that's face down on the board. So that won't apply to this game, this mission. But sometimes these clues that have numbers on them, you put them upside down and you mix them up. And depending on what you flip up, you do something depending on what number it is. So this would let me kind of get some instruction. You know, I'm going to listen to the dang head. I'm going to listen to the babushka lady, the decapitated babushka lady with the iron cross on the forehead. And so, with that in mind, we then, he says, a palace temple hidden in the mountains of the mouth. Is that a location out here? The mountains of the mouth? Or is that... There's actually like lore books for this game that would probably explain some of that more. I don't see anything that calls itself the mountains of the mouth. So that must not be an actual location on the map. There are like kind of mountains up in certain areas, but it's not a location. So I'm going to continue on to Visions at the Peak. Whether, I'm not going to play that right, I'll play it in the future, but let's see what it says at the top. Whether compelled by the mutterings of the Soothsayer's Head or by the fungal parasite ravaging your mind, the mountains beckon. And then, so remember earlier, we drew cards. We drew the 2 cards from the mission deck, the Soothsayer's Head or the fungal parasite. And I got the Soothsayer's Head. If you drew the fungal parasite, you would actually start this mission a little differently. Or it says some different stuff. In this case, it's the Soothsayer's Head. So the Soothsayer's Head says, the Soothsayer's raspy whisper entices you with tales of mystical lost temples in the mountains and wonders of the Bird King within. With the Soothsayer's guidance, perhaps you can reach this isolated temple palace and plunder its magnificent treasures. So that is going to be where we end here today. Moving on later to whatever that the valley in the mountains, I already forgot the name of the mission, but that is where we'll pick up next time. So a cool thing about Dungeon Degenerates is, it's actually just out of reach, but there are sheets to save your game progress. You write down what the danger level of different areas is. You write down the skills you have and the stats, what they're at, your experience and your gold and all that. And you pick up next time in kind of the same situation. You'll start in the same spot. You'll set up the board differently depending on the mission. So some of this stuff is going to go away, but the danger level and all that will stay. And so with that being said, that is going to conclude mission 1 on the run in Dungeon Degenerates. That was fun. I had a good time. I had not played this mission before. Again, when in the campaign my wife and I are in, we decided not to listen to the jailer, and we ran off. So kind of seeing where the different paths can go is neat. Something I do like about this game, as far as like story-driven stuff goes, I don't like games that completely spell out stories for you or what's going on. So like the monsters and the Soothsayer's Head and all that, there's not that much text. Actually, there's like no text on these cards for lore. And the stuff in the rulebook tends to be like, here's a brief sentence that just gives you a prompt, and you kind of like put together the rest of the stuff in your head and sort of like generate these sort of emergent stories that come up depending on the characters you have and what they do. Like the sickly soldier keeps getting his butt kicked, but it kind of makes sense. He's sickly, he's feeble, he's gonna get beat up pretty bad. So like, I feel like it tells kind of fun stories that you can kind of run wild with. Similar actually to something like Sea Evil, which I know like Sea Evil got brought up earlier in the chat. Something like Sea Evil or Cave Evil or the Emperors of Eternal Evil games. They're also good at kind of generating these stories with briefed prompts, which is something, the kind of elaborate text is what's turned me off of story, like text-driven games in the past, because I feel like I'm not writing a story myself. I feel like I am earning the right to read the rest of the story. You know what I mean? And I like it where I'm earning the story on my own by the things I'm doing. And so it's more personal. I'm writing it instead of I'm reading someone else's story that's already written. But yeah, that is Dungeon Degenerates, the Hand of Doom. I hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, if you did, by all means, subscribe to the channel. And if you're really feeling generous and you really enjoyed this or the other stuff that I've put out, like for instance, the interview I did with Matt Eklund, which parts 2 are up right now. Go listen to them if you haven't. Part 3 was going to go up yesterday, but I got kind of distracted at home and didn't do it. I apologize. But I will be finishing finishing touches on that and putting that up by this weekend, maybe even tonight. And so, Holly and Lucy, you got all the way through. I didn't have to squirt you once. I didn't have to squirt you once, kiddos. But now, Oliver, you're beating up on Lucy. You're chomping on her. Oliver's a big gray cat. He likes to wrestle around. So does Lucy. Lucy's a stink. She'll yell and scream and hoot and holler for no reason and then smack Ollie upside the head and run away. Sometimes though. Sometimes I gotta step in and help Lucy. But anyway, like I was saying, if you haven't listened to the Matt Eklund interview, I've got parts 1 and 2 up. Part 3 will be up by the end of this weekend. I promise you that. And if you really like that stuff or any other stuff that I do, consider a donation. Which if I was real slick, I would have clicked that while I started saying it. Go to phasingplayer.com/donate, and there are options for PayPal. There are options for Patreon. Got a few choices in there, and the people that have donated cash, that is very kind. I'm as always super appreciative of everyone that's donated. I should make like a list or something and put it up with this little prompt every time I say it. So all the cool guys that have sent me money, cool guys and gals, and of course, totally optional, not obligatory in any way. Until next time, you guys, it should be, so again, as I said at the jump, if you tuned in a little late or not, I'm trying to do like a 1 week on, 1 week off kind of thing with recording things because my wife Haley works from home every other week. So next week she'll be home, and it's just with the size of our apartment, with the setup and kind of how I have to put everything. It's a little difficult to have us both in this space. Like this, I kind of take up I take up a decent amount of space in here. I don't know if I've posted like pictures of my setup. It's not the fanciest setup. As you have a little GoPro, but if we switch over to here, so hey, look at that! Look, isn't this such a professional camera angle that I'm messing with right now? So there's the camera that sees me. There's the monitor I'm looking at with all my YouTube stuff and my stream. Here's the game. I've got a light here. Sometimes I put a light behind me, but because it's nice out, I don't. I've got my shotgun mic right here. I've got all this stuff set up around here. I've got, player aids I can reference. I've got stuff down here. And so Haley usually works on our couch over here. And so if I'm like blocking half of our apartment in here, I've got my switcher over here. That's what I'm always looking over to the left and reaching to, my little Blackmagic switcher. I've got a mixer for my microphone. What I'm saying is I'm taking up a lot of space. That's really the end of it, is I'm taking up a lot of space. And so I'm trying to be respectful of her being at home. So what I'm trying to do generally is do some like, I did 2 streams this week, right? Which is, I know some channel like Heavy Cardboard goes up a lot, and some other channels go up, they stream all the time. I did 2 this week. I'm gonna try to do 2 again in 2 weeks. And then I'm going to try to, if I have the time, I'm going to try to film stuff or record stuff, vlogs, tutorials, whatever, to be put up on weeks when I am not, when Haley's at home, essentially, so that there's not just like nothing going out for a week. So that's kind of what I'm playing with right now. I'll probably record, this is like an impromptu vlog that I'm suddenly doing. I might record like a vlog just to kind of talk about plans and maybe even try to put up some kind of a schedule. I'm not great with schedules. Anyone that saw me say I was going to put up a Matt Eklund part 3 interview yesterday and then I didn't knows that I'm not great at schedules. Or I was going to play this yesterday, but I had a delivery in the middle of the day that I had to answer that ended up being like late, and I'm glad that I delayed this. I'm basically, what I'm saying is I'm trying to plan ahead right now so that I can keep putting stuff out on a somewhat regular basis. But that's it. That's the stream. We did it. I don't have a hat to throw, so I'm not going to do that today. And I will see you guys. Again, check out the Matt Eklund interview if you want. And I'll see you guys next time. I'm going to switch to the splash screen, and then I'm going to go offline. So take care, everyone, for tuning in again. For everyone for tuning in. I miss you, Ben. Yeah, have a good one. Have a good weekend, everyone. And enjoy Sea Evil. Yes, enjoy Sea Evil if you get to play it. It's fun. I played it last night on Tabletop Sim with Nate Hayden, which was cool. He kicked our butts, but go enjoy the game. Adios. I'm great at sign-offs.